Well, Ubisoft Forward is almost here because Summer Game Fest is underway. They're actually doing one thing today with Guerrilla Collective. We will not be covering that, but we will be covering the kickoff event with Jeff Keighley, Future Game Show, the Xbox Showcase, PC Game Show, and then we will be covering Ubisoft Forward. So I walk through my hopes and expectations because I do feel like, as the thumbnail and the title on this live show discussion that followed my upload about it, I feel like they're fighting an uphill battle. There's already negativity surrounding two of their bigger titles, probably two of the biggest titles that they will have the showcase, Assassin's Creed Shadows, as well as Star Wars Outlaws. So be sure to check that upload to kind of walk through what's happened, why I feel like I'm still looking forward to those games significantly. But I also talk in that video why I'm sort of rooting against the Division 2. The Division 2 will likely be at this event alongside these other two games. And I'm just sort of generally worried that they're just going to keep doing Division 2 and we're not going to hear anything about the Division 3. So if you watch that video, I walk through the history of my experience with the Division 1, the Division 2, and what I'm hoping for the next game. So it's a good video. It really is. I know people are down on Ubisoft right now, but man, they've got good property, and I think they've got good things coming this year. I do think we're seeing a beginning of sort of the turning of the page for Ubisoft. I know Avatar Frontiers of Pandora didn't do that well commercially as well as with the critics, but I thought it was a good game. I think they probably relied a little too much on the formula of Far Cry, but I do think that with Outlaws and AC Shadows, they could start to sort of win back that public confidence, the people that are none too thrilled. So be sure to check out that video. That way you can know what I think about the topic. And now it's time to hear what you think. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Guys, I appreciate you being here. Make sure you go through that morning ritual. There was a lighter turnout on the premiere. That's been our experience with Ubisoft as of late. I'm not sure why. They have some of the biggest franchises, and people always turn their nose up to Ubisoft. And it's like, and then you're all going to buy Assassin's Creed, I guess, in secret, maybe. But I really do think AC Shadows is going to do commercially very well. Star Wars games just sort of automatically do well, so it's a little bit of a cheat code. But make sure you guys smash that like button. There's over 200 people here. Appreciate you guys tuning in. And Han shot first, and so did you. Stone Spire gifted a member during the premiere, and that is the first gifted member of the day, setting us on our path to the first 25. If you guys hit this 25, you've secured the weekly goal, and then you can start working on like a stretch goal. So you guys are basically on the doorstep of making me play Liza P on Friday night. Creature says Ubisoft hasn't let me down in a really long time. Ubisoft has been in a free fall since 2018. I mean, I don't think there's any evidence of that at all, with respect at least to the games that we've been getting. I mean, they've been having trouble. They've been canceling games, but, Assassin's Creed just by itself has been doing very well. They've been making no money. Well, I mean, I would say from a business structure perspective, they're too big. I think they're too big to the point that if they're not posting good returns, it's because they were spread too thin. The fact that AC Origins to Odyssey to Valhalla, each of those games has sold better, with Valhalla now being the number one and most sold Assassin's Creed game. I really do think that they just need to strip things down a bit. I don't necessarily want to sit here and promote downsizing and shutting down studios, but I really truly think they're just too big. It's hard to post profit when you have that many games, that many studios. I mean, look how many projects they've had to cancel. I think that's the primary problem with their structure, is they're far too big. They had so many successful franchises and titles that just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I don't think it's working out. I think that's why they're trimming down. I really do. Final Pineapple with the 5-bomb. Thank you so much, taking us to 6 members on the day. Appreciate you so much. But yeah, I think that's why they're stripping down. I think they need to. More accurately, Valhalla has been carrying Ubisoft amid a run of underperforming releases. I mean, yeah, I would say that's probably another way of looking at it. John Always with 33 months and a VIP says, it can't be nearly 3 years. This man doesn't age. Thank you very much, John Always. I appreciate that so much. Chances of footage of Dreadwolf. I think, yeah, you're going to get footage of that game. Yes, I think that's going to be, one of the surprise announcements. Well, not a surprise anymore, because these insiders and leakers can't help themselves. They ravenously ruin basically every showcase before it comes out. They're like, here's everything that's going to be there. So I would really appreciate more of them saying, you know, hey, there's going to be some great stuff. There's going to be some great appearances, but we're not going to tell you the names of the games. I liked that the one leaker did that for Xbox. He was like, I don't want to ruin the surprise. I wish more of them would do that. It's like, we're going to be like, oh, yeah, we knew that was coming. We knew that was coming. So hopefully some of those surprises are still exciting. Maybe we'll get actual gameplay. It's not much of a surprise when we know it's coming, but if it's more than a cinematic, that's at least something to celebrate, right? I think that really hurt the one Metal Gear surprise. I saw a lot of people asking for a Splinter Cell game from this showcase. I saw a lot of people asking for that, and I was like, really? A Splinter Cell showcase? Okay. I'm sorry, a Splinter Cell game, I should say, not a Splinter Cell showcase. I saw people saying, yeah, we would love a new Splinter Cell game, and I'm like, I would love one too. I think right now, don't we have confirmation they're doing some kind of a remake, aren't they? I don't know if there's a new one coming out. Does Motorfest have good player numbers and revenue? Yeah, Darius says, to be honest, the crew has been carrying Ubisoft, but y'all aren't into racing games, so I can see why no one talks about it. I thought the latest crew game did well, did it not? I don't know about commercially, but I remember people saying that it was good and people were enjoying it. Splinter Cell would be legendary. I feel like a modern day Splinter Cell would be phenomenal, you know, with their ability to do night vision. That's actual night vision now in games, with their ability to do more with, you know, tech and stealth. Patrick Q gifts a member and takes us to 7 on the day. Thank you guys so much. Guys, make sure you're smashing that like button. This is going to be one of those streams we got to put on our back. You're going to have to really help this stream out, man. Smash the like button. Leave comments on that video. We've had weird behavior from Ubisoft. There's been times where we've covered Ubisoft and Ubisoft property and had good results, and there's been other times we cover Ubisoft and our audience just says no, and it's always disappointing because we put a lot of work into those uploads and shows, and it's like, Ubisoft has a lot of property. They've got a lot of great games. I don't know why everybody is so immediately anti-Ubisoft. I get that they've done some disappointing things, but man, they've got so much property that they could pull out and do good stuff with. I don't get the aversion. I don't get the turned up nose behavior. It's so weird to me. Last year, I was like excited to watch their showcase. I thought Star Wars Outlaws did great. I feel like Assassin's Creed Shadows looks exciting. I was like, I do not understand the gamers that have decided that like Ubisoft is out. It just doesn't make any sense to me. You know, I mean, Skull and Bones probably didn't set the table very well this year. I mean, that was obviously a game that nobody really, I mean, I know there are people that are saying they're having a good time, but I think people really just wanted either like a Black Flag remake or another Black Flag. I think that would have been more celebrated. I heard a Crazy Taxi reboot is actually coming. They don't currently make anything I'm remotely interested in. Well, I mean, if you're interested in third-person action adventure games, I mean, did you play Assassin's Creed Origins? I feel like Assassin's Creed Origins is very much in the vein of a lot of the PlayStation first-party titles. I would put Assassin's Creed Origins in the same hemisphere. I mean, I didn't get to play Odyssey all the way through or Valhalla, but I thought Origins was great. A $5 super chat tip. My friend picked the worst weekend for a bachelor party. Enjoy Summer Game Fest. I'll see y'all next week. Hey, man. Excuse me. I took a bad breath of air there. I guess I was breathing in water. Oh, there we go. Yeah, not everybody is that tied into the gaming world, Patrick. So that's a bummer. They don't make games for me. I think there's a lot in that boat. Oh, a lot in the boat that you don't like. Oh, yeah. He said boat. Can you imagine if they reveal the Far Cry 7 with Cillian Murphy on Monday? I'm sorry, it's Killian Murphy. I mean, here's the problem, though, with Far Cry. I really think if you're going to do a commercial for Far Cry, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to make it very clear that they're going to make it different at some level. Let me read through some of the comments here on the video, see if we can't give that video a bit of a bump. Haven't touched an Assassin's Creed game in a long time, let alone a Ubisoft game. Looking forward to AC Shadows, though. Keep grinding, Lono. It's only up from here. Thank you, homie. And then Stewart says, there's 2 games that I would like to hear of. Sands of Time Remake, and the second is what are they doing with Ghost Recon? Then there's wishful thinking of an announcement of Splinter Cell Revival. Ghost Recon, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time. Like, Ghost Recon, man, that Wildlands, and then what was the battle royale they tried to do? We covered that recently in our one video about Concord when I was kind of giving the history of how battle royales, like everybody was trying to do a battle royale. Then Ghost Recon tried to do one, did they not? Don't get choked up on my behalf. Yeah, Patrick, I'm feeling so sad for you that you're missing Summer Game Fest. Can't compare Ubisoft to EA since they are not capable of making a Jedi Survivor type of game right now. Ubisoft couldn't... Wait, what's somebody saying? Ubisoft couldn't rob you at gunpoint and be worse than EA. Well, yeah, I mean, if you're wanting to compare. I mean, and then everybody gives them grief on their pricing, and I'm like, I don't understand that either. What's the deal with the pricing? They're doing pricing that everybody else is doing. That's the other thing I don't understand. Star Wars Outlaws got criticized for it. Assassin's Creed Shadows got criticized for their pricing. It's like, but all these other companies are doing the exact same pricing structure. I don't understand why Ubisoft gets singled out. Now, I think Ubisoft should get singled out for putting day one missions behind, more expensive editions. They're doing that with Star Wars Outlaws. There's a single Jabba the Hutt mission that you have to buy the better edition to get. And then I think, are they doing that with AC Shadows? I don't mind a company selling a $40 season pass if I'm going to get 2 DLCs. That's been happening for a really long time. You know what I mean? What is I'm saying? Who do they attack? I'm not doing this fake argument this early in the morning. This includes a community manager for Star Wars and developers of the new AC game. They made it about race, and criticism was about cultural accuracy. How can you be culturally accurate in Star Wars? I don't understand what you're saying there. I've not seen any evidence that Star Wars is doing some kind of a cultural thing. And I also think that everybody jumped the gun. They're like, oh, they made the main character look ugly. It's like everybody in the video looks bad. Everybody in that Star Wars Outlaws story trailer looks weird. They don't look right. Their hair doesn't look right. Like their facial movements and it all looks awkward. None of it looks good. We watched the one scene where she gets upset. She's like, hey, wait, and she makes a shocked facial expression. She looks like 3 different people in the span of 5 seconds. It's like an engine level thing. I don't know what they did, but it doesn't look good. I will readily admit that story trailer did not do Star Wars Outlaws any favors. That initial gameplay trailer from a year ago, I thought it looked great. And then that story trailer came out. I'm like, what's going on? I don't think it's evidence that they're like, we better make her ugly. If you look at all the promotional material, if you look at all of the posters, they made her look pretty. She's not a supermodel, but she's pretty. It's not like somebody hit her in the face with something. It's like, but she looks like a weird, almost like puppet in the story trailer. Outlaws is the only game I'm remotely interested in, but if it's structured like Assassin's Creed, I'm out, says Eugene. People don't trust Ubisoft anymore, says the Elemental Hero. With removing the crew, they can remove any game they want. But that was completely blown out of proportion. That was an old game that nobody was playing. It was also a game that required online. I just don't understand that. I don't get that at all. You bought a game that requires online 10 years ago, and they're just supposed to keep supporting it? That mentality, I think people just want something to be angry about. And they're like, yeah, I'm angry on behalf of 50 people that were still playing a 10-year-old game that required an online connection. That's just a joke, dude. That's a literal joke. There's no reason to be upset about that. That's completely blown out of proportion. Joker Quinn with a gifted member, thank you so much. If you buy a game right now that requires online, and you're like, well, I gave you money, so you better keep this game available for longer than a decade. If you think that, I can't help you. You think something that's dumb. That's a dumb thing to think. That here's $50. You now owe me support for the next 10 years or more. Just, for an infinitude of time, you have to support this game. And if you decide one day not to support it, you have to basically create you have to go into the back end of the game and make it to where online's not required, or that I can load up my own servers. It's got to be one of the dumbest things. Like, I don't get why people think that. Cloud Strife with 16 months says, what I think it is, Lono, is Ubisoft more than not announces season passes up front and people assume they are pulling content before release. I mean, with an Assassin's Creed game, what are you talking about? Well, I want my boat forever, says Kirk. I don't know what you mean. What are you guys debating in chat? MTO says, then would you define that as there are people down on those two games? That is not what woke means. Bringing up social issues and deflecting when people are critiquing the game's direction. Have a different opinion doesn't mean one is ignorant. What exactly are you guys debating? Like, who's on what side here? MTO hit us with it's woke. Oh, so MTO is the one claiming it's woke. What game is woke and why? Like, which one? Ubi can shut it down and consumers can say, we're not going to support you. Yeah, and I think consumers that expect that are stupid and inconsistent. I mean that. I think consumers that you look at Ubisoft shutting down a 10-year-old game and acting like, well, I'm not going to support you. I think you're inconsistent, and I think you're a stupid consumer because you're willingly buying a game that requires online and getting upset 10 years later. Also, most of the people that were upset about it, I bet you they don't even own the game or play the game. Most of the people that were making YouTube videos about it and campaigning against Ubisoft about it and tweeting about it, they probably never even touched the dadgum game. And they probably have plenty of games that they paid for that are no longer supported or no longer available because the server's shut down. See what I'm saying? They're inconsistent. I guarantee you none of these consumers are out here keeping tabs on all of the games they purchased that may not be supported any longer, whether the servers are shut down or whether or not they're updating the servers anymore. They could be completely overrun with cheaters. There are so many games that have come out in the last 10 years. Like, are you keeping tabs on every single one that is still supported or not? I just think it's stupid. Crew's not the first. Have they shut down any game within the time frame that people were actually playing? If you've moved beyond the 5th year, if you get into the 6th year, it's like, dude, forget that. You cannot expect every game like that to be supported for forever. That's a dumb expectation. It's dumb. Do you expect that from every game you buy? Like, come on. Real King Salty with a $5 super chat tip says, it's a lack of understanding that every online game has an effective lifespan, some longer, some shorter, and some people choose to ignore that reality. That's what I mean. Like, there are plenty of games right now that you're buying, and if you expect that game to be supported for forever, I think that's got to be one of the dumbest expectations. We're in a completely new landscape of gaming with the forever game or the ongoing game. And the minute you step into a game like that, you cannot expect that because I gave you 50 or 60 or 70 bucks, you now have to support this game for forever. And if you don't, I'm not going to buy games from you anymore. Okay. They're going to have a lot of developers and publishers that you can't support eventually because there's going to be plenty of games that get shut down and are no longer supported. You're going to have an awfully long list of devs and studios and publishers that you can't support. You are. That list is just going to keep getting longer. It doesn't make any sense. It's not like they're going in and removing a single-player game from your library and they're like, yeah, you can't play this anymore. We're taking it back. It's ours now. They're shutting down support for a game that no one's playing. There are new versions of the game. And it's like, what are we supposed to do? Keep supporting the servers for 50 people? Yeah, if you never buy a Ubisoft online game again, right? Because that's your standard. That's fine. If you're like, I'm worried, concerned, whatever, that they're going to shut stuff down, okay. Crew 1 offline mode allegedly found but not being activated by Ubisoft, which is shutting down the game entirely instead. Right. Do we know whether or not they were even able to do that? It's not a matter of like, were they willing or not? Were they able to? They've got to get a team to go back in and turn that on. Then I'm assuming that then has to go through some sort of certification process, because is that the only place the game was sold? Didn't this happen on Steam or whatever? If they've got to go through that with every platform, you're not going to get a company to do that. You're not. You are not going to get a company to go back into a 10-year-old game and update it and unlock this mode, and then they got to go through certification process because they got to go through all these different platforms. If the game is on Steam, if the game is on PlayStation, if the game is on Xbox, if the game is backwards compatible, or if it's available on older gen consoles. I mean, how old is the Crew 1? It's like 10 years old, right? That's the question. We don't even know if it would work. Like, if they go in and they turn that on, is everything in the game going to work properly? They've got a bug test. They got to make sure, like, if we turn this on so that people can play the game offline, is the game even going to function properly? You don't know. They would have to bug test, which means they would then have to assign QA people in their QA department would then have to bug test a 10-year-old game. That's stupid. At some point, all online games will shut down. I'm not stupid. I just don't trust. I just trust Ubi far less than anyone else to keep them up. True Witty with 13 months says, why would you have a face model if you don't use her and just make the model ugly? Why have one for Star Wars? What do you mean? When they use face models, they're not saying we're going to one-to-one. Now, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. The woman who was modeled for Stellar Blade, they completely changed her face. It's not even her face in the game, right? The girl who did mocap for Taki, they didn't use her face either, or at least it's very, very different than her face. The girl they used for Star Wars Outlaws, as far as I can tell, if you look at the posters and you look at the very first trailer, it looks very similar to her, but they made changes. And then if you go to the latest trailer, everybody looks bad. It's not just her. All the humans look weird. Their eyes look weird. Their mouth movement and their teeth look weird. Their hair looks weird. It doesn't look right. Something's wrong. Everybody fixated on her like, oh, they made her ugly. The other thing that doesn't make sense is the people that were comparing the woman who modeled for Kay Vess in Star Wars Outlaws, and they were comparing pictures of her to the character. It was like, what are you talking about? You're going to glamour shots with full makeup, expert lighting, potential Photoshop, and you're like, why doesn't she look like this? And it's like, that woman doesn't look like that. That's all been alterations to the photo, and with contouring and makeup and somebody doing your hair. You honestly think a scoundrel in Star Wars is going to look like that? That would look dumb. That wouldn't even make any sense. Like, she's probably had her nose broken a couple times. She's basically a lowlife. She's a criminal in the underbelly of the Star Wars universe. And people are like, well, here's a headshot of the model looking gorgeous. And it's like, yeah, so? You want her to look like that? That would look stupid. It wouldn't make any sense. Like, you could even go, like, Harrison Ford is naturally good looking, but his hair's kind of like, you know, he's got that kind of messy hair vibe, and he's wearing kind of like his shirt's kind of unbuttoned. Well, you could take glamour shots of Harrison Ford and make him look way better than that. You could really trim up the hair, put him in a suit and tie, and really make him look like, you could really clean him up nice, right? You got great property that you're working with. He's an attractive man. Well, you don't want Han Solo running around looking like that. Same with Luke Skywalker. Like, Mark Hamill is not a supermodel. I love you, Mark. I do. I would hug you in real life. But he's not a supermodel. And so you bring him into that world of Star Wars, and they gruffed him up a bit. I mean, he even got in that car accident. So in Empire, he's got his face is kind of busted. Stop defending this DEI. You can't prove that it's DEI. You don't even know what that stands for, I bet. You're going to have to Google it. Quick, Google it so that you can type it and act like you know what you're talking about. You honestly think a story trailer for Star Wars Outlaws, where every character looks odd and funky and their mouth movements are weird, and you're like, yep, it's DEI. That's what you think happened. You think that happened. You see the promotional posters for the game, she looks pretty. You see the original gameplay trailer, she looks pretty. And you think someone walked in the room and said, she's too pretty, you better make her look more ugly. You actually think that happened. I can't help people like you if you think that. I can't. You're delusional if you think that's what happened. Absolutely delusional. To think that someone walked in the game, in the development, spectrum of Star Wars Outlaws and was like, she's too pretty. Even though we've got promotional material, trailers, artwork, and key art out in circulation that makes her look pretty, we need this story trailer. We need you to bust her up. We do. Bust her up. Make her look ugly. Like, you actually think that happened? I don't even understand. Why would you think that they would do that? She looks different in that story trailer than all the other things we've seen her in. It doesn't make any sense. What makes sense is it's an engine level problem. You should be angry about something else. You should be angry that we're seeing graphical degradation. Like, as a gamer, you should be upset that you showed us this thing a year ago, and now you're showing me gameplay that doesn't look as good. That's what you should be angry about, not like, oh, they made her ugly. Delusional, that word gets thrown around a lot because I don't agree with you. No, you're not disagreeing with me. You told me to stop defending DEI crap. And when I asked you to define it, you didn't, because you probably don't even know what it stands for. You're just parroting something that you heard. And secondly, I laid out what you think happened. I can't describe it as anything other than delusional. That's what I can't. How am I supposed to describe that? That they have key art for this character. There are PDFs being circulated. There are press kits being circulated. There's key art. There's wallpapers. There's promotional tweets. There's the initial trailer, and she looks great. And you think between that last year and this year, you think some DEI, some Sweet Baby Inc. thing happened where they come in and said, you better make her ugly. What? I'm dead serious. It's a delusion. It's a delusion. You're watching people who mislead you. They clickbait your rage. They get you all upset, and you think, yep, they are out there ruining our games. They're coming for our pretty women. Get the frick out of here. It's nonsense. It's utter nonsense. I see no evidence that they've changed what the character looks like. What I see evidenced in the story trailer, I've been watching trailer and gameplay reveals for over 10 years as a content creator, breaking them down. And I tell you what I see in that story trailer. I see an engine that isn't doing a good job with facial animations, facial hair, and lighting. It all looks wrong. Nothing looks right in that trailer. Her facial animations don't look good. Her hair movement doesn't look good. The one guy, when his eyes move, there's another character, their hair doesn't even look like hair. It's like, what is going on? I'm telling you right now, if you actually break down that Star Wars Outlaws story trailer, you're not going to come to the conclusion that yep, they made her an uggo. It's like, no, the game itself doesn't look as good. Something happened. There's something going on with the lighting and the textures. 100%. You're being rage baited? No, I'm not. I'm having a discussion. I'm sure guys calling her ugly are a bunch of Brad Pitts. Oh, for sure. Yeah. They're all absolutely gorgeous men. I guarantee you. Does DEI mean lazy now? So DEI wouldn't even apply, by the way. It wouldn't even apply. Because it means diversity, equity, and inclusion. So trying to make a female character less attractive, that's not even what that's about. It's like people don't. That's why I told him. I said, can you define what that stands for? Because the minute you define what it stands for, you look like a moron if you're claiming, yep, Star Wars Outlaws, just more of this DEI stuff. It's like, what? What are you even talking about? That's not even what that's about. Now, if you want to start claiming that that's what Assassin's Creed Shadows is about, at least you're using the right term. You're still incorrect, but at least you're using the right term. That's making a character ugly is quite literally at this point in time. Yeah, they want representation for ugly people. Maybe that's what that's about. Right, Donnie? At this point in time, the whole making our characters, making our women ugly, it's got to be one of the most unsubstantiated things I've seen, because you have almost no examples. People try to use Aloy. Aloy is actually very pretty. She looks just like the model. Side by side, the faces. And you know why this works? I'll tell you why this works. People Photoshop the images. There are Photoshopped images of Aloy going around. They made her look fat. They made her look different. They mess with the color saturation, so she almost looks half sunburnt. And they're like, yeah, look what they did to Aloy. And it's like, that's a fake image. There was literally a fake image of a tweet about Assassin's Creed Shadows, and that's why everybody thinks that Yasuke is gay, because of a fake image of an IGN tweet. Did you guys know that? I tried to research this last night. I almost included it in the video, and I didn't. I was like, I don't even want to get into this crap in the upload. There quite literally is no evidence, no commentary that Yasuke is gay in Assassin's Creed Shadows, and yet there are videos, tweets. I mean, there are people out here making money off that lie. Just some fake IGN tweet. A guy went through it on Reddit. He had all the stuff. He's like, this is how it all started. He's like, this tweet doesn't exist. It doesn't. It never did exist. It's fake. It's like unbelievable. So you got all these people all riled up. Like, that's why this thing doesn't get traction with me. Because the only way it gets propagation and the only way it gets traction is through lies and misleading people. There's nothing wrong with enjoying games with attractive people. What are the games that you feel like they've made the characters ugly on purpose? What are the games? What are the characters? I've done this before with people. There's almost no examples. There's almost no examples. Aloy is not ugly. She looks exactly like the model, and the model is very attractive, very symmetrical face. Her character is trim. Her character is fit. There are outfits you can wear that actually show a good amount of Aloy's skin. Like, they don't have her all like covered up in turtlenecks the entire time. Aloy is a terrible. You know they can delete tweets, right? You know there's Wayback Machines, right? You know that the fake tweet had the wrong profile image, right? You know there's ways to vet the reality and the realness of a tweet, right? It wasn't real. It was fake. It was a fake tweet. Just like the fake images of Aloy's face. Like, I genuinely can't think of a game where... Man, they should use Ella Purnell for a BioShock game. I just realized she looks a lot like the girl on... Somebody put BioShock in chat, and like I instantly saw that in my mind. You could put Ella Purnell in that game. Make a movie about that game. I'm sorry. You could use her for the main character. Like, there are no examples. What are the examples? Now, listen... This is what's so frustrating. Hang on. I think I have some people to thank. David Farias with the $2 tip says, Assassin's Creed character sexualities will be based on the player. Right. They gave you choices just like they did in Odyssey. Shiny Red Flag with 15 months says, Brad is jealous of my looks. James Wolfgang with 25 months and a member plus. I swear every time I hear someone call something woke, DEI, SBI, my brain leaks out of my ears. Anyway, good morning, y'all. Hope it's been great. Keenan Messina with 17 months says, hey, Lono. That's everybody. Okay. So here's the frustrating thing about that. I actually agree with people that they shouldn't have changed that character in Silent Hill 2. But it's not because I'm like, oh, it's woke and oh, you're covering up, free all these incels that were like free Stellar Blade. Oh my gosh, just the most embarrassing behavior. Like, I was embarrassed to be a man that played Stellar Blade when all that was going on. And then when they celebrated getting the outfits, I'm like, this is gross. Like, okay, cool. I can't wait to stop talking about this game. I don't have any ties to that viewpoint or those ideas, okay? I don't. that nonsense was ridiculous. I actually agree with people based on what the character in Silent Hill 2 is supposed to represent and what she's supposed to be for the psychology of the player. Right, they shouldn't have covered her up. It doesn't make any sense. She's quite literally supposed to represent a woman of the night. She's supposed to represent a woman that's wearing revealing clothing and making a man, you know, feel attraction to. There's a whole storyline there that's going to get disrupted by being like, well, no, we covered her up, right? A midriff outfit, you know, obviously is a little bit more dated, although that style is coming back. Like, these styles always circulate, right? High-waisted pants are coming back and all of this. It's like every time I open up TikTok, I'm like, oh, that fashion trend is back. Cool. Like, I don't really have a strong opinion on any of it. So if, you know, they made that change and that's actually affecting a foundational part of the story, I agree with people that shouldn't happen. But I'm talking quite literally about an element of the story being changed. I'm not talking about like, oh, you better not make a character unattractive, or you better not make a character who is wearing normal clothes. Like that I 100% don't get in line with the people that think that. And to act like, well, all these games are making the characters ugly and they're making them, all of our girls are uggos now. No one's ever made a compelling case that that's going on. I've never seen a compelling case. It's always misrepresented. It's always photoshopped images. It's always rage baiting people into thinking something that's not real. Discord, good sir. Did I not undeafen? My bad. I thought I undeafened in Discord. I'm an attractive man and a liberal, says Nathan Nate. They are definitely desexualizing women in Western games. David Duchovny in Silent Hill 2. Male developers are afraid of being canceled and are overcorrecting. I saw commentary on that, Nathan, and I do think it's an interesting perspective that everybody assumes this is some woman-driven, feminism-driven thing, and the one guy said, no, it's men that are doing this. They don't want to be seen as creepy. And I got news for you. As soon as somebody labels you creepy, it's open season on you. I went through it myself. That's all somebody has to say is, oh, yeah, he's a little creepy. And you're done. You're done. You're a weirdo. No one wants to be around you. You're a sicko. And it's like, so all these men are like, I'm not making a game with that in it. No, we're not doing that. Put some clothes on those characters, right? Here's the problem with what you're saying, though, Nate. I will agree with you that the characters in Silent Hill 2, the two characters we've seen, they don't look very good. Something went wrong. Now, the one character that they're saying is David Duchovny, listen, man, she actually kind of looks like that in real life. They made the character look like the woman who's voicing that character. That's what she looks like. She's not a runway model. She played Chloe in 24. She's not meant to be like a 10 out of 10 bombshell. That's not the kind of role she typically plays, and that doesn't seem to be who she's playing in the game. But again, I've not played it. The other character, I agree, they shouldn't have changed. It's like, why'd you change her? She literally represents his internal battle with like lusting after another woman, and now she looks like a reporter from Ninja Turtles or something. It's like, what's going on? You know, she looks like she's an investigative reporter all of a sudden. But what I don't agree with what you're saying is, you're saying they're desexualizing women. Western developers are doing this. Where? Can you show me? What games? Where's the pattern? Show it to me. I want to see it. List the games and list the characters right now. Right? Shouldn't be that difficult. If it's a pattern, you should just be able to be like, boom, 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 boom. Like, I could list a pattern of failed battle royales the other day. It wasn't hard. I listed 4 or 5 off the top of my head, and then I did a Google search, and I found a laundry list of just dead battle royales. What are these games? What are these games being made in the West that are desexualizing the women? What are they? What are the characters and what are the games? I want to know what games they are, and I want to know what characters they are. If you're this upset by it, you should have a pretty long list. It should be easy to list. People that get really upset about live service games never have any trouble telling me all the failed live service games that have happened. They never have any trouble with it. They usually start with Anthem. True Witty with a $2 super chat tip. It's funny. I haven't even used the skimpy outfits. Yeah, I actually liked the outfits in Stellar Blade that were more normal. That was just my preference. I put on one where her cheeks were hanging out. And I'm like, I just think this is weird. I'm playing a video game. Put some clothes on. Like, what the heck are we doing here? And it just doesn't interest me to play a game where my character's barely clothed. That's just my own personal preference. I don't think Western game developers are desexualizing women. I think that they are no longer over-sexualizing them. I think that's a pretty good observation, Furious Impulse. I think the idea that, like, yeah, this guy's going to go fight a dragon with full armor and you're in a bikini, let's go. You're the female, so you don't get to wear clothes. Like, that's not happening as often, sure. Desexualizing is occurring. Stop telling me it's happening and give me examples. It's not a complicated question, as Zubair has said. If you think it's happening, then show me. Where? Where are the games? Where are the characters? This is such an easy question. If you said, hey, Lono, what are the battle royales that have failed and died? I'd be like, Radical Heights, Realm Royale, Hyperscape. Like, I'd be like, ding, 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 ding. It's not difficult for me to list all the battle royales that have failed. So tell me right now, name the games, name the developers, name the characters. Where are these games where this is happening? I want to know where they are. And if you list Silent Hill 2, congratulations. This dialogue's been going on for a really long time. Silent Hill 2 just emerged as like, yeah, look what they're doing. That's a Western developer, by the way? Is that a Western developer that's doing that? Where are they located? I actually don't know. I'm genuinely asking. Mary Jane seemed like a good example. I think Mary Jane's a terrible example because if you go to the first game, she's not even that attractive. That's not the role of that character. She's not meant to be a knockout. She's also not wearing revealing clothing. She's like business casual in the first game. And in the second game, they changed her, yes, but they didn't like... Everybody had to get really bad screenshots of Mary Jane, and it was like, she doesn't actually look like that most of the time. And if you compare it to the first game, are you really going to try and argue that in the first game, she was like some knockdown dragout? Oh, and by the way, there's a character in Spider-Man 1 and 2 that they actually made look sexier in the second game. Remember when we looked up the Black Cat pictures? You literally can't make that argument about Spider-Man 2. Black Cat has what I would argue is a far more revealing outfit in the second game. It's more contouring, there's more detail, it's more skin tight. Black Cat looks just exactly the same in Spider-Man 2, same as Spider-Man 1. So that doesn't even make any sense as a game that you're going to try to use as an example. She looks worse in the second one. I actually don't think they did a good job with the character in the second game. I don't think it's evidence that they were like, make her ugly. Make her ugly compared to what? She doesn't look like a supermodel in the first game. She just looks like a normal person. It's like, yep, there's Mary Jane. She's dressed for, a night out at the library. Like, she's dressed and looks like a professional. 30,000 feet in the Discord. Parasita says, counterpoint. If I may, the general public taking the bait for something as simple as a couple minutes in Photoshop is a twofold problem, Parasito says. On one side, you have the general public who are rabid and constantly looking for things to be emotional about without caring if the emotions are positive or negative. On the other side, you've got the studios that are performing poorly enough in the public eye and doing just enough to cause drama or outrage and betray their consumers that the average keyboard warrior can say something as brain dead as girl ugly game bad and get substantial traction with it. Nobody's blameless here, but the accusations aren't immune. Well, the thing that frustrates me is that why don't we talk about the actual problems? Just giving an example, not caring either way. NRS confirms desexualization of their female characters in Mortal Kombat 11. Yeah, I know that they did that. So I'm genuinely curious then. They decided in Mortal Kombat to say we're going to have the characters be a little less, whorish looking. Do you know what I'm saying? They're like, we're going to have our characters not dressed like, they're ready for the strip club. No hate, no shade, but like, come on. some of those outfits were ridiculous, okay? And they decided to tone it down. Why is that a problem? I need somebody to give me an argument as to why that is a problem. They're a little more covered up from the old school Mortal Kombat, where they quite literally look like strippers. And then the new game, they're like, no, we're not going to go that extreme. We're going to tone that down a bit. Why is that a problem? So you got Mortal Kombat 11. They didn't make them look ugly, by the way. They just covered them up a little bit. They're still wearing basically the same outfits. Lono spend some time around dangerous strippers. What about the femme fatale concept? Beautiful women that are deadly and dangerous. I think we got that in Stellar Blade. I think you get that with, characters like Black Widow in the Marvel movies. You get that with Black Cat in Spider-Man 2. She's smoking hot and she's dangerous. Yeah, you want to fight her? You want to tango with her? You get that in Spider-Man 2 with Black Cat. If people were buying Mortal Kombat because they wanted to see women with their stuff hanging out, and it's hanging out less in Mortal Kombat 11, and they get less sales or the game doesn't do as well, the market will course correct. You understand that, right? Yeah, I'm looking at a picture right now from Mortal Kombat 11. I don't get it. It's not as extreme as in the past, but there's still a pretty copious amount of cleavage. If somebody was walking down the street wearing that outfit, you'd be like, holy moly. If somebody did a cosplay of that outfit, you would do a double take. You'd be like, oh wow, that's a lot of skin. They're just not as extreme. They just toned it down a little bit. I don't see evidence of that. Mortal Kombat 1 isn't censored compared to Mortal Kombat 11 or Mortal Kombat 9. Might I interest you in Dead or Alive? Is Samus a female, a femme fatale? She wears armor all the time. So far, I asked for examples. If I missed your examples, just state them again in chat. Chat's moving kind of quickly. We're having a heated debate. Keep it respectful, and I think this can be a fun time. True Witty says, no, Mary Jane is not ugly in Spider-Man 2, far from it. Thank you, True Witty, for the $2 super chat tip. Wayne with the 2 spot says, games are for playing, not... Yep, okay, I'm not reading that out loud. If I missed some of your examples, let me know. Jade and Scarlet were radically redesigned in Mortal Kombat 11 to remove much of their sex appeal. Jade was nearly completely covered up and didn't show hardly any skin. In fact, in screenshots and gameplay, she doesn't even appear to be wearing her trademark green. Instead, they appear to be opting for a reddish-brown color. Yeah, listen, I get it. They went for a more toned-down they went for more toned down. If you go look at Mortal Kombat 9, it's a lot of those cliche outfits where their entire stomach is showing, a ton of cleavage is showing, their whole entire thigh and almost their backside's hanging out. It's not a question of attractiveness, that's subjective. Well, okay, so you got Mortal Kombat. The developers at Mortal Kombat decided to turn that down. Okay. What else do you have? What other examples do you have? We've absolutely deflated the Mary Jane claims because Black Cat arguably looks hotter in the second game. Arguably has a more revealing outfit in the second game of Spider-Man 2. So you can't claim the developers of Spider-Man 2 were scared of doing something like that. That's ridiculous. That's not true. Okay, so Mortal Kombat made some changes. What else do you have? Where are these Western games? Where are these characters? Where are they? What has happened? I want to know. What has made you say that this is happening? You should be able to cite games and characters. We've done this before, and every time I ask the same question, nobody's able to give me a very clear and measurable pattern. I can give you a clear and measurable pattern of Battle Royale games that failed, live service games that failed. I can point to games that tried to do things that didn't work. It should not be hard at all. Are we talking about Ubisoft Forward? Yeah, we are talking about Ubisoft Forward because Star Wars Outlaws is being accused of making the main character ugly. And they're like, yep, this is a thing we're doing now. They're making characters ugly. All these Western developers are making characters ugly. Okay, show me where. What games and what characters? Where are they? Where? You notice how quiet all these people get when you ask for these examples? My examples are Spider-Man 2, Mary Jane, dealt with that. Suicide Squad, terrible example. Horizon, she looks just like the model, and she's very attractive. Star Wars Outlaws, it's graphical degradation from the first trailer to the second. Look at all of the promotional material. She looks like the character. Like, we've dealt with Spider-Man 2, Mary Jane. I think that's a terrible example. So is Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad's a terrible example. Because they changed the character's outlook on what she wanted to wear, you're like, yep, here we go, going woke. Like, that's not even remotely what's wrong with Kill the Justice League. Like, it's not even what's wrong with that game. And again, that's subjective. That's subjective. There are people that thought Wonder Woman looked good. There are people that thought Harley Quinn looked good. Who cares if Harley Quinn's not wearing her traditional outfit anymore? That arguably Horizon? No. Aloy does not look like the model, bro. Come on. We've done side-by-side comparisons. She looks like the model. You've looked at photoshopped images. I guarantee you. You've got to go to one picture. You got to go to one picture that's been photoshopped to make her look chubby and sunburned. Tomb Raider changed loads. So you think the latest version of Tomb Raider is ugly compared to the original games where she was basically like pointy pixels? Overwatch made Tracer's butt smaller. No, she does not. We've done side by side. Aloy, face model, side by side. We've done this before. It looks like her. You have to go to intentionally bad screenshots and bad angles to claim that, oh, it doesn't look like her. Here, this is exactly what you've fallen for. Let me show you. Let me show you. This right here is what you've fallen for. Right above me. Right above me. A glamour shot with makeup and a photoshopped image of Aloy. They made her look more sunburnt. They made her look more chubby. It's an intentionally terrible angle. That's intentional. They're trying to make you think, oh, that's what she looks like. That's what Aloy looks like. They get these angles where she looks like somebody has stung her with the bee and she's been in the sun for too long. There are plenty of other pictures of Aloy where she doesn't look like that. That's the one image everybody runs with. But when you actually do a comparison that we've got right here, thank you, Trill Troll, she looks just like her. You can make anybody look funky with the right angle. You turn their face, you make them make an expression, and you're going to end up falling for a bunch of BS. That's Aloy, the actual model from the game, straight on, overlaid with the model. It's the same face structure. It's the same face shape. It's the same. This is what happens when you don't fall for some rage-baiting thumbnail nonsense where they made her look weird. They puffed her up and burnt her face. And they're like, yeah, look at Aloy. Aloy's such an uggo now. Give me a freaking break. Be more intelligent. Yeah, Ashley Birch is the voice for Aloy, but she's not the model. I don't know the model's name. Hannah Hoekstra? She's the face model for Aloy. That's my point, is like the minute you actually do an overlay of their faces and of their face shape, it's like it's the same face. They got one picture of Aloy where, like, look at the original image, by the way, before somebody has altered it. This is the original image before it's been altered. She's turned to the side. You lose facial definition in this section because of the lighting and because of the look. And they took this and they made her fat. They puffed out her cheeks and they made her look sunburned. Like, they made her look sunburned. They actually altered the image and tons of people fell for it. So you can't use Aloy. Every time we've had this discussion, everybody has a really, really hard time giving examples, and they try to use, they try to use Aloy as an example of an Uggo. A 3-spot. Keep cooking these DEI crybabies, Lono. Guys, by the way, do me a favor. Smash the like button. Over 500 people here. Hit that like button, and then we are well on our way. Once we hit 25, I'll give 5, and then you have hit the goal for the week of 300. Everything after that's working on stretch goals. I got to play Liza P Friday night. You guys can make me play hard games, scary games, or then cute games with Creature. That's always a fun time, so make sure you guys check that out. Appreciate you so much. Mind you, that whole section from the one picture everybody uses isn't even in the game. Yeah, it was from that one trailer. It was from that one trailer, and it was like, she doesn't look like that in the game. She doesn't. She completely looks different than that in the game. Once you get in the game, it's like she never looks like puffy, and she never looks like... She looks sun-kissed, like she spends time in the sun. But she doesn't look like sunburnt. You know what I'm saying? Checkmate, LOL. Yeah, I mean, they definitely changed what Peter looks like. They wanted to make him look a little bit more like Tom Holland. All of your counterpoints are gaslight. Do you know what gaslight means, or are you just using a term that you saw on Twitter? How are my counterpoints gaslight by people saying, yep, they made Aloy ugly, and I show you that the people telling you that are using altered images, fake images. They're using fake images. Are you upset to realize that you were lied to and maybe you feel a little foolish? Maybe that's why you feel like somebody's gaslighting you. If you feel gaslit, maybe it's because you fell for a bunch of BS. I mean, here we sit again. We're 20 minutes into the debate, and no one has been able to substantiate a pattern of making characters ugly. You can't do it. It's not possible because it's not happening. It isn't. Spider-Man 2 MJ, terrible example, and Black Cat's in Spider-Man 2. Don't get to use that one. Aloy, we just proved that she looks exactly like the model, and you fell for Photoshops. So what do you got? Kill the Justice League and Silent Hill 2. Wow, what a pattern, since the Silent Hill 2 trailer just debuted. So what, prior to that you had Kill the Justice League? That's it? That's all you got? Shilling for social engineering isn't a good look. Claiming that it's social engineering when you can't even substantiate the point with the pattern isn't a good look. It makes you look stupid. You look stupid. Can you argue the point? Then argue the point. If you can't argue the point, then who's been social engineered? Who's been social engineered? The person that does the research, goes and looks, realizes stuff's been photoshopped and altered, or the person that's falling for photoshops, falling for rage bait YouTubes and conspiracy theories. Who's actually been socially engineered? Who's been engineered to think something that isn't real? It ain't me. I think for myself. I go and research. I go and do side-by-side comparisons. Sounds like you haven't done that. It also sounds like you can't substantiate the position. It shouldn't be difficult at all. If there's a pattern, if this is happening a lot, then I want you to list the games and the characters. Do it. You're on the dock. You're up on the stage. You want to claim that I'm shilling for social engineering, Raph? Then you're up on the dock right now. Go for it. with your 5-month-old account in here on an alt, you coward. Can't even come in here on your real account. You're in here on a 5-month-old account. Wow, we got a real alpha male in the chat. Go ahead, I won't ban you. I know you're in here on an alt. Go for it. If I've been socially engineered and I'm shilling for it, you should have a really easy time red pilling me. Go for it. Let's hear it. List the games. Do it. It's all on you, Raph. All eyes are on you, Raph. Let's hear it. Let's hear the games. Let's hear the characters. Let's hear all the examples of Western developers making characters ugly. Let's go. Clock's ticking. It's not that hard to type. It's not that hard to type. You managed to make an extra account on YouTube, so you should be able to do this. Where are the games? Where are the characters? Princess Peach's dress is longer. Today I learned that apparently women can't have square jawlines. Just deny and gaslight. I'm not denying and gaslighting. I'm asking for examples. Engage in the conversation. It isn't hard. If I told you that there is a pattern of failed battle royale games and you're like, oh, what games? Oh, yeah, you just gaslighting me, bro? No, I would list the games. It wouldn't be difficult. It wouldn't be difficult. Here we are again, that somebody wants to make an outlandish claim that I'm shilling for social engineering and they can't list a single gamer character. Clock's ticking, big man. What you got? Might take them as long as they've had their account. They've had their YouTube account for 5 months. Maybe they'll write a reply in 5 months. Why he won't accept anybody? No, I reject ones that are either subjective or false. The Aloy ones have been doctored. The MJ example in Spider-Man 2 is a terrible example because she's not even that attractive in the first game, and Black Cat is exactly the same. So why'd the developer do that? If you're trying to claim that there's a pattern of developers doing that, why would the developer make changes to MJ, who, again, in the first game, is not really even that attractive? She's like business casual, like normal looking person, and they changed her hairstyle and her face a little bit in the second game, and then Black Cat is arguably in a more attractive outfit in the second game. So you can't use Spider-Man 2. On one side we have Tomb Raider, Mortal Kombat, Star Wars Outlaws, and Fable. On the other side, Horizon doesn't count. And oh no, I gave you Mortal Kombat. They definitely willingly covered the women up more. They didn't make them look ugly. They just covered them up more. And Tomb Raider? No, that's ridiculous. Tomb Raider? Have you played those Tomb Raider games? Really? You think they made Lara Croft ugly in Tomb Raider? Seriously. Okay, let's examine the claim. Let's examine the claim. See, the thing that you're not used to is I examine your claim. I don't just accept your claim. So let's examine the claim. I'll give you Mortal Kombat 11. I gave you that one. I'm like, yeah, they intentionally covered the characters up more. That was an artistic choice that they made. Let's take a look here at a Tomb Raider. They made her ugly? They made her less attractive? Are you able to see straight? Do you need glasses? Do you need LASIK? What's the matter with you? Are you serious? You got to be crazy. This is as bad as the Aloy photoshops. If you're going to try to claim that the new Lara Croft is not attractive, that they made her ugly, or that they desexualized her. She is still very attractive. She's very shapely. She's athletically fit. Now, obviously, she's not running around with double D's knocking herself out if she runs too fast. But you're insane if you think that they made Tomb Raider, Lara Croft, less attractive. You're nuts. Do you see what happens? I don't just take your claim at face value. We examine your claim. We examine the claims into Stellar Blade, and that was all bogus. Oh, censorship! If it was censorship, then why do they give you the outfits a month later? Why? Why? Do you see? It's like it's the claims are just so illegitimate. They're so illegitimate. So you've got Mortal Kombat 11. What else you got? What else you got? Yeah, she needs more triangles. Street Fighter 6 has some fuglies. Didn't traditionally Street Fighter, like, I'm trying to think of the characters. I can only think of Cammy and Chun-Li. And I feel like what I've seen lately from Street Fighter looks just fine. Are you, like, from what I saw, like, if thick thighs can save lives, then Chun-Li could save an entire continent. Like, are we going to have that conversation? These boys' brains are cooked. Yeah, who's ugly in Street Fighter? If they made somebody ugly in Street Fighter? I don't know. I saw some of the promotional stuff. Yeah, I don't think so. I just saw an animated GIF in the Discord. I don't think they desexualize anything in Street Fighter. Old girl is arcing her back in a stretch that yeah. I wouldn't let a young kid play that. What type of coffee are you drinking? I'm drinking my coffee. Reforge Roast. Lara Croft was supposed to be attractive. That's the point on video games, to sell games with attractive women, not to make them like guys or change their looks. Yeah, but if you think that the images I just showed you of Lara Croft are less attractive or that she looks like a guy, brother, I can't help you. Only the eye doctor and a psychologist can help you. If you think that those images of Lara Croft are less attractive or that they made her look like a guy, I can't help you. I can't. You're on a wavelength I can't even connect to. You're on an AM wavelength and I'm on FM radio, brother. That doesn't make any sense to me. Detective Seeds with a 10 bomb. Breaking up the chat to drop a 10 bomb on us. Since when is it mandated that a video game... Yeah, why does a video game have to sell itself on the sexiness of the character, by the way? Week 2 of treatment down, 3 more to go. Stay in there, dude. You stay in the ring, Seeds. If your body doesn't, your mind can, dude. Stay in the ring, brother. All you have to defend is why a dev physically changes how someone looks. MJ's example between games. Stick with the OG look that they made. Bushin, I don't have to defend why they did it. That's their job. All I can do is analyze whether or not that this is the claim. Okay? This is argumentation 101. This is the claim. They're making the women in video games ugly and less attractive. They are desexualizing them, and it's commonly this is laid at the feet of Western developers. So I say, okay, let's examine the claim. Let's examine the claim. Where are the games and the characters? And I get, they changed what MJ looked like, and when we examine it, it's like, okay, they did, but it doesn't seem like they intentionally made her ugly. They're commonly using really bad screenshots to make her look worse than she does. Same way they do with Aloy. And when we do actual overlays of Aloy with her model, it's a 1-to-1. She looks just like the model. They change her eye color, her skin texture, and give her freckles. She's a sun-kissed warrior, right? She's not going to look like this very, very light-complected, wearing some makeup glamour shot. That wouldn't make any sense contextually to where Aloy exists, all right? If we dropped that supermodel or whatever, if she's a supermodel or a model, whatever classification is, if we drop that model off in the middle of a tropical island and we left her there for a couple of years, she ain't gonna look like her glamour shots, okay? It's a contextualization of that person into the game. Aloy looks fine. Black Cat in Spider-Man 2, incredibly sexy and dressed in a way that's very revealing. Probably more revealing than the first game, you could argue. So what are the other examples? If we set aside MJ and we set aside Aloy, where are all these examples? Like, again, you should have a laundry list of games. If I listed all those battle royales and you told me that 1 or 2 of them didn't count, that would be okay. I'd have a ton more to list. If you were like, yeah, well, Realm Royale doesn't really count, or Hyperscape doesn't really count, I'd be like, that's fine. I've got 6 other Battle Royales I can list that died. I make the claim that there was a pattern of a gold rush of Battle Royales, and Battle Royales, a ton of them died. And if you said, oh, really? Can you substantiate that claim with evidence? And I would say yes. And then I would list all of those Battle Royales. People are telling me this is happening. I'm being socially engineered. It's this pattern. Western developers are doing this. And I'm like, okay, can you show me the games? And the best you got is MJ in Spider-Man 2 and Aloy? That's the best you got? And the Mortal Kombat thing is subjective because you could argue that they're just more covered up. They're not like less sexy. They're still very sexy. They still have cleavage, and their legs and stomachs are out. Like, they're very, very still, dressed in a way that you would consider to be revealing and provocative, just not as extreme as it was in the past. Look at what happened to other games. They sold good during those years with attractive characters, good story, didn't push anything, and that's the point. Yeah, did Horizon Forbidden West struggle commercially? Did Spider-Man 2 struggle commercially? Did they? How about Stellar Blade? Remember all the free Stellar Blade? Oh, it's being censored. Did it hurt Stellar Blade? Did Stellar Blade have a hard time commercially? Is the market reacting in the way that you're claiming? Is the market saying, uggos, games are full of uggos, not buying? Like, are people buying Spider-Man for a hot woman? I didn't realize that. You spend most of the game playing as a teenage boy or a guy who just graduated from high school. Is the draw to Spider-Man 2 to play or see attractive women? Is that how they sold Spider-Man 1? Is that how they sold Miles Morales? Is that how they sold Spider-Man 2? They sold them on sexy women? Is that how Horizon Zero Dawn was sold when it first came out and did incredibly well and has been massively commercially successful as well as on PC? Is that how they sold it? Was that the value proposition of Horizon Zero Dawn and Horizon Forbidden West? Or is it just something that you want and you feel like you're not getting it and you're just self-reporting on the fact that you want to see women in less clothing, and when a game denies you that, you get angry? You're self-reporting. That's the reality. Nobody marketed Spider-Man 1 on the sexiness of MJ. They didn't. Go back and watch the original trailers for Spider-Man 1. She's probably not even in the trailers for more than 5 seconds. Did they really market Spider-Man 1 with how hot MJ was? No? Then what are you talking about? There's no value proposition that was disrupted from Spider-Man 1 to Spider-Man 2. And let's talk about Aloy. When did Horizon Zero Dawn or Forbidden West ever sell the game on the sexiness of the lead character? Ever. When? They didn't. See, what you're doing is you're self-reporting. Your frustration comes from the fact that if a woman is more covered up, if they don't let you see their bodies, or if they're not there to be like a sexual image for you, you get frustrated by that. And I gotta tell you, basic psychoanalysis of that, that's not healthy. That's not healthy. This isn't some economic analysis of like, well, they tried to target this audience with this product that they didn't want and it failed. Like, for example, when Marvel tried to do this, girl power thing, it didn't work. Why? Because the core audience that goes to Marvel movies are men and they didn't care to see it. And women don't care to go watch comic book movies to the degree that men do. To the degree. It's a trend. It's not a hard rule, but that trend made that thing bomb. And a lot of those movies are now bombing because there's too many of them, arguably. But the idea that like some value proposition, some consumer expectation has been broken, disrupted, or harmed, no, you don't. You're talking out of your neck. You don't even make any sense. It's like, what do you mean? What? When did these games ever market on, hey, come play this game, it has a sexy character in it? Then why are these women characters in these new games look like guys? Look at Fable. So, Fable, a game where you make your own character, and again, they take a bad screenshot of the character and that's what they circulate. Doesn't look like the model in the game. There is no model in that game. You make your own character in Fable. That's the gaslight, self-reporting for identifying propaganda. Raph, you're in here on an alt, and when you were asked a basic question, you couldn't answer it. So, you are now on full display as a coward. You are not a man. You're a boy. You're a coward, deserving of no respect. You make a claim that someone's been social engineered, and we ask for examples, and you can't provide them. So not only are you in here on an alt account, but now you make claims and don't back them up. Spineless and weak. You are intellectually small. It's not difficult to back up claims if they are in fact accurate. You made a claim, and you can't back it up because you're a coward. You don't have the stones. You don't have the ability. You don't have the wherewithal to do it. You're small. And you want to claim it's gaslighting. It's not gaslighting. It's basic analysis. No, I said RAF. It's basic analysis. There was absolutely no proposition for Spider-Man 2 to come play a sexy character or come see sexy characters. They're not disrupting something that you were promised. That's the argument, right? Well, this is what they used to do, or this is how they used to sell games. You guys are using games as examples that never once made that a part of their value proposition. They didn't proposition Spider-Man 1 or Horizon Zero Dawn as games with really attractive characters. Now you're bullying? Oh, I'm bullying somebody who claimed I was shilling for social engineering, and when I asked them for examples, they couldn't provide any. So someone insults me, and when I ask for examples, they can't give any. That's a coward. You see? And there it is. Small soy man really hurting me. If your confidence is in your physical size, like maybe you're taller than me, something you have no control over, do you know what you do have control over? Your mind. You can control your mind. You can control the way you think. And to ironically accuse me of being socially engineered when you can't even give me examples of your position. Like, you couldn't argue your way out of a wet paper bag. You just deal in assertions. And when your assertion gets pressed upon, you resort to insults. You resort to insults. You can't give me examples. If you want to use Mary Jane, even if you want to use Mary Jane, if you want to use Mary Jane or you want to use Aloy, you're not giving me a pattern. You're not. You're going to games and saying, I think this character looks unattractive or less attractive. You'd have to give me examples. Like if you have actual games like Mortal Kombat 11, when they internally admitted that they had toned it down, you would need to bring that to the table. You would need to bring things to the table that evidence your claim, not, well, I think Aloy's ugly. Okay. There are plenty of us that don't agree with you. That's subjective. You have to understand that if you're going to argue this is in fact happening, you need a pattern, not two characters, especially the one character is not even a main character. Spider-Man 2 also, as I said, they have Black Cat from Spider-Man 1 and 2, no changes at all to the character. That falsifies your claim that like Insomniac's out here trying to make women less attractive. Let's bring up Stellar Blade. They scan the actual person. It looks like the actual person. Nope. False. Wrong. Incorrect. Go look at the actual model for Stellar Blade. They completely changed her face. Are you upset about that? Are you? You claim that the face model for Star Wars Outlaws and Horizon, you claim that they've been changed, right? They changed the face for Stellar Blade. Where's your outrage? Why aren't you upset about that? Seriously, be consistent. Be consistent. Stellar Blade's model doesn't look like her. It doesn't. Her body looks like her. Her face doesn't. Her face doesn't. Are you upset about that? She doesn't look anything like the face. And so you're upset because you think the face of Kay Vest doesn't look like the model. And we just disproved the claim that Aloy doesn't look like the model. That's false. So you're dealing in falsehood. You're saying things that aren't true. It's been objectively proven that Aloy's face is a one-to-one to the model. It's the same face. They changed her skin because, again, she's in an environment where she's been sunburned. So she's got freckles and her cheeks are a little red. That's called realism. Like, they wanted to look like how she would look in that environment. They scan the character, and that's the point. Companies aren't scanning the actual person. Well, I falsified your claim about Horizon, and we would have to look and actually try to do one-to-one comparisons of the other games. I don't know if we have that right now. You're upset because the faces of those characters don't look right. You're claiming... And I'll give you Silent Hill 2. I'll give you Silent Hill 2, and I'll give you Mortal Kombat 11. That's not a pattern. And Fable is not... You don't have to play as that character. It's just a trailer. It's just a trailer. Like, they literally just used... And again, the character in Fable... Everybody always uses that one horrible shot where she's like almost like doing like half of a smirk sneer. That's the same image everywhere. Everybody always uses that same image. I bet you she doesn't even look like that throughout most of the trailer. They all use the exact same image. They go here and they're like, yep, doesn't look like her. They made her ugly. Or did they contextualize her to the time? And they made her look like somebody who would be homely or maybe a little busted up. I mean, and I can't find any other pictures of her. I can't find any other pictures of her. That's the only picture you can find. Here's one. Oh, for Pete's sakes. See, like, that's not a terrible angle. That's not awkward lighting. It's not her sneering and making an awkward face. Do you see? 5 seconds on Google, and I found a picture of her that's actually like, that's not that bad. That looks closer to the model in that picture. And again, that's not even a character you have to play as. In Fable, you can make whatever character you want. You can play as any character that you want. You don't have to play as her. That's just somebody they threw in the trailer. So that's not a character that they made ugly or somebody they made ugly. It's quite literally, they grabbed the model, threw her in the game, and you've got one image that circulates to where she looks bad, where the lighting's bad and she's making an awkward face. I spent 5 seconds on Google and I found a better picture of her. I was like, yeah, she doesn't look like that. She looks better. She doesn't look like a supermodel, but again, she's being contextualized to the game. Like, she's not going to look like a perfectly white balanced, color saturated, nice head-on shot where her hair looks nice and like she's got a very nice mouth. She's very attractive. Like, obviously they're not going to put her in the game and make her look like that. That would feel weird. I think it would feel weird to play like some medieval game where like I'm running around and I'm fighting all these guys who are like, hey, yeah, go get her, and there's beer splashing on them and they're pulling their swords out. And then she walks in and she looks like a supermodel. It would look weird. Like, even in a game like Stellar Blade, there are times where it's like the juxtaposition is, I think, funny. It's like, yeah, running around as this perfect supermodel killing grotesque monsters. Like, it's just silly. It's like, okay. The Fable thing was meant as a joke. Yeah, I don't think that Fable is proof. I don't think anybody has compelled me to be like, yeah, there's a pattern here. You can convince me that there's all kind of patterns in gaming, that they're trying to add more microtransactions, that they're trying to make more money, that they're trying to get more life out of their games. There's more of a pattern of like ongoing games, live service games. I want to say she has a nice mouth. She does. She's got very full lips. I always look at eyebrows, jawline, lips. Like if and I on men too. If a man or a woman has like a real strong jawline and really nice eyebrows and really full lips, I always think that those are really attractive traits. Some people like somebody who's really tall. I'm short, so I tend to not care about that. Like, you know what I mean? Everybody has different things that get their attention. If I can have the adult convo they should be having, we should have as a culture create a stigma around male sexuality. We are quick to call men creeps for how they view women. Lono confirmed lip man. I mean, you might not even know it. You might not know it, but some of the people that you find attractive probably have very good symmetrical mouths. Like, some people like, you know, if they're like their top lip is really thin, you won't notice it, but you might feel like, yeah, I don't think they're as pretty or attractive. Or I don't like their smile as much. It just depends on your preferences. Cable characters shouldn't look ugly unless you go the evil route. That's how the game worked. Here's the problem with this discussion, though, Chris. Everybody that wants to argue this, they all claim that this is some kind of movement, this is some kind of thing, and yet what's interesting is they're buying into a movement. They're buying into a thing. They're buying into like a viewpoint and an ideology, and it's all built on lies. It's built on photoshopped images of Aloy. It's built on, you got one shot of the girl from Fable where she looks bad, and there are other shots where she doesn't look nearly as bad. So they intentionally choose the absolute worst example. Let me ask you something. I want you to imagine that you hold to a certain belief system. Maybe it's your political beliefs, maybe it's your religious beliefs. Isn't it really, really aggravating when someone goes onto the news or someone gets clipped or someone gets put into a position and they make your particular beliefs look really stupid? They intentionally choose the worst example. They're like, here's somebody that believes this and look how terrible they are, right? And then you get frustrated. You're like, that's the worst possible example. That's not fair. Well, then why in this situation do we have to use the worst possible awkward screenshot we can find? Do we have to use photoshopped images of Aloy where they make her look fatter and they adjust the color saturation so it looks like she stayed in the sun for way too long? Why do we do that instead of like actually analyzing the all of the images, all of the data? Like, why? Why do you have to use the worst examples? Well, it's because you're not being truthful. You're not being truthful. You're not being honest. Like, that's why when I go to Google, I do a couple image searches of Aloy. It's like we falsify the claim like that. It's like what you're claiming is ridiculous. It's not even true. I think the concern I have is it's more than choosing to intentionally be less sexual than they used to and feeling so uncomfortable about it that you feel wrong putting out most media on every scale. I'm not sure what you're saying about feeling wrong, Solemn. What are you trying to say? I said a long time ago, Naughty Dog doesn't like sexy women. Not that they were ever sold on that. Just after playing a majority of their games in PS3 era, they stick to a certain look. I think something that makes The Last of Us Part 1 and 2 such compelling stories is like, it just looks like a bunch of real people. It seems like, yep, that would happen. It was like when you watch the television show Lost, okay? Evangeline Lilly is pretty. She's not a supermodel, okay? The woman who played Sun she's a very pretty Korean woman. She's actually a well-known Korean actress, but she's not a supermodel, right? The show came across as, here is a bunch of just random people that might have ended up on an island. There were people that were attractive. They were certainly pretty. Like, it wasn't a plane full of uggos, but like, it wasn't a plane full of supermodels either. It was like, yeah, this seems like a group of people that might end up all together on a plane, right? It worked. And when you play Red Dead Redemption, or you play, Last of Us, or you play any of these games that are more gritty, Evangeline Lilly is absurdly pretty. I said she's pretty, but she's not a supermodel. Like, she didn't what I'm saying, Zubair, is she didn't feel out of place in the show. She didn't feel out of place. The one person who was like, they tried to play up how pretty she was, it was like a part of her character. Boone's sister Shannon. Like, Shannon was like, she cared about what she looked like, and she was like sun tanning in the very beginning of the show, and she would like use her looks to like get people to do things for her. Like, that was a part of her character, but even Shannon wasn't like a runway model. It didn't feel out of place. It didn't feel weird. It didn't feel awkward, right? It would be weird if suddenly you had somebody like at that level, or you could have one character that might look like that. Maybe that's their profession in the show. But like, if everybody would have looked like that, it would have been weird. It would have been like, what's going on? You know, why? It's like when you watch a soap opera. It's like everybody is so absurdly good looking. It's like, well, it's that, you know, that's obviously part of the tropes of a soap opera. So when you tell a story of like The Last of Us, and it's gritty and it feels real, and it's like, yeah, these things could really happen, it works that none of the characters are like a 10 out of 10 bombshell. It would just feel weird. It'd be like, that's not the artistic direction of this. It's like when you play Spider-Man 2 and MJ just looks pretty normal to me. My opinion is she doesn't look ugly. She doesn't look hot. She's just a normal looking person. She's just somebody that you'd go see at the grocery store and be like, yep, there's a person right there that you wouldn't like, you know, you wouldn't do a double take or anything like that. But then when Black Cat shows up, you're like, oh, hey, Black Cat's got it going on. Like, that's the role that she's supposed to play. And this is where I think people are completely missing the boat here. There are games, there are characters, there are stories where it makes sense for the character to be just absolutely gorgeous and maybe even wearing a revealing outfit. Like Black Cat versus MJ. It makes sense to have them treated completely differently from an art direction perspective. And that's what's getting lost on some of you. It's like you're just upset that you see a character and like you're betraying your own internal dialogue. You saw that character in Fable, and you're like, yeah, she's not a 10 out of 10. What the frick's wrong with all these developers these days? It's like, what? Why can't it just be a game where the character's not super attractive? Why can't that just be part of the story? Do you see what I'm saying? Why can't it just be part of the story that the character in Fable is not a supermodel? She's just like a normal looking person. She looks like maybe she got in a fist fight a couple of times. Like maybe she's had her nose broken once or twice. Like, who cares? Same with CEST in Star Wars Outlaws. That's what started this entire discussion, right? Like, this is one of the main things people, this is why I said Ubisoft, that's why my thumbnail says Ubisoft has an uphill battle. Why? Because of this kind of nonsense dialogue. Because like, oh man, CEST doesn't look like a model, so they're freaking woke. It's like, okay. A 5 spot from Bushin Ryu Cat. Love you, Lono. No matter how much you and I can disagree on this, I'll always defend your right to point things out. You have journalistic integrity. I appreciate that. And Bushin Ryu Cat bumps the line to 19. 19 out of 25 members. Every 25, I give 5 back. You guys are well on your way. Hey, let's try to get 300 likes on this video. This has been a spicy debate, which, you know, I anticipated we would get on one of these debates. We would either talk about how, CEST was ugly, or how, you know, Yasuke wasn't a samurai and they made him gay. Like, I figured we would get on one of them, and, well, this is what we landed on. Yeah, I've always thought Evangeline Lilly was very pretty. My own personal opinion is that she's gorgeous, but she doesn't show up in Lost as like a supermodel. She's pretty. She's the pretty girl next door, you know. She's Freckles, you know, to Sawyer. To me, she played the role great. I thought she played Kate excellently, and I thought it would have been awkward if Evangeline Lilly, if Kate would have been played by somebody who's like an absolute supermodel, like a real busty, real like wearing revealing clothing supermodel. It would have been like, what's going on? Why is it? It would have had to have been attached to her character, like Kate's character and the life that she lived. Yeah, if it would have been literally, ironically enough, if Kate on Lost would have been played by Kate Upton, it would have been weird. It would have been like, what? It wouldn't have fit. It wouldn't have fit. It would have felt out of place. That's why I'm telling you, there are times and places for the characters to be gorgeous and maybe even wearing revealing clothing. Final Pineapple bumps the line to 20. Thank you so much. Evangeline Lilly in The Hobbit, though. Yeah, she's looking to back away from acting, I thought she said. Zelda Heart was 16 months. I just want the game to be good. Usually see my character from the back anyways. I just like good games. And another single comes in from Hadigan Matter. Thank you so much. I just want you to think about why you care. Okay? We've debated this for a while. We've went back and forth for a while. Just stop for a second and try to self-reflect and get beneath. Why do you care? Why do you care? And a firebomb from Sheriff Bruce Lee as he comes in. That's Agents of Chaos and takes us to 26. And another one comes in and takes us to 31, tempting a 20-bomb Agents of Chaos to 50 because we're now at 31 thanks to Final Pineapple. Seriously, get beneath it. Why do you care? Let's say that the developers behind Fable, let's say they actually said it internally and they said, let's make her a little less attractive. Why do you care? Why does that matter? What social contract has been broken? 5 gifted for the way Lono cooked today. Just don't burn yourself out. I'm good. I miss days like today. Let's get in it. Let's just get into the subject matter and just, you know. Guys, there's almost 500 people here. Take a second and double check. Likes have been kind of weird. I'll ask for likes and it doesn't move. I think it's acting weird again. Double check. Make sure it's saving your likes. We should easily have 300 likes by now. It really does help the video. We had a really slow start today. A lot of people that subbed to my channel, they do not like Ubisoft. We were kind of worried that doing a ubiforward predictions or expectation stream would have a hard time. Because it implies I should feel bad for liking video game boobies, and I'm just a dude liking things I like. Why does it imply that? Why does it imply that, Zubair? And Zubair, I don't know if you actually think that. You might just be trying to take up for the viewpoint. So for real, why does it imply that? If they said, yeah, the artistic vision for our game for Fable, we don't want the character to look like super attractive. We want the character to look more like Ruddy. More homely, more plain. If that's their artistic vision for Fable in that trailer, why is that a problem? Why? Why care about your own culture? What a weird question. Why do you care if people want hot characters? I don't care that people want hot characters. I'm interested in accurate information and truth, and so much of what is said about this is rooted in falsehood and photoshopped images and misleading thumbnails. I hate and I loathe dishonesty. That's what I've been attacking. I've been consistently saying, where's the pattern? Who's doing this? What are these Western games? Where are all these ugly characters? And people always really struggle to give me more than a handful of examples, and even the examples are subjective and debatable. There's not a clear hardline pattern. So I want to know, why do you care? I want to know. I want someone to explain their position to me. You're saying, why care about your own culture? How is that your culture? Your culture is that video games should always have the female characters be attractive? I'm taking up for them because it's counter to over-sexualizing women, which it felt to be pandering to men with overactive sex drives. It's bad and it should be stopped, we are told. Kay isn't ugly. She's not gorgeous, but why does Star Wars character have to be stunning when we have characters like Jabba and Jar Jar? Lono, in a time where we're analyzing graphics more than ever, could people be thinking the less attractive rendering is a shortcoming of the artist and not being diagnosed properly? I think people really, really misdiagnosed that Star Wars Outlaws story trailer. I think they completely misdiagnosed it. It's like they didn't make her ugly. None of the characters look good. It all looks bad. It looks like graphical degradation. It looks like bad lighting, bad textures, bad hair. We're not talking about that. We're like, yep, woke, made her ugly, downvote the trailer. Oh my gosh. Like, goodness gracious. Like, that's like insect level behavior. You know, it's like all these ants going and marching in a line. None of the ants knows why they're doing what they're doing. They're just doing it. They're just following the crowd. Like, there they go. It's like, woke, she's ugly, downvote, hate it, you know, scream about it. Like, okay. It's bigger than hot characters. It's pushing a blatant ideology. If you refuse to see that, but a lot of people have woken up to it. Okay, if people have woken up to it, Albion, they do a really bad job waking me up to it because they've not once today substantiated what you're talking about. First of all, identify the ideology for me. Do it. I want you to identify the ideology. And second, I want you to show me the pattern. It shouldn't be difficult. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Changes to Mary Jane, that doesn't feel like a pattern to me. It doesn't. And we falsified the claims about Aloy. And the developers admitted they wanted to desexualize some of the outfits of the characters. Okay. How is that pushing forward an ideology? First, you got to identify the ideology. And then secondly, you got to show me where it is. Like, where is it? What are you talking about? What do you mean? I'm extremely dialed in when I'm reading a book, watching a movie or a show, and I'm like, this is stupid. I know what you're doing. Have you ever heard me rant about the girl power moment in Marvel's Endgame? I hate that moment. It's stupid, dumb pandering. Have you ever heard my ranting and my raving about She-Hulk and how stupidly written it was and how awful the show was and how it could have been great because they had a great actress? Like, you don't know who you're talking to if you think that I'm just sitting here completely oh yeah, I love everything that's entertainment. I don't analyze it at all. I got down into the muck and the mire and I analyzed the dialogue and the writing of She-Hulk and the freaking nonsense that they did with Galadriel in Rings of Power. I'm not sitting here immune or blind to the fact that there are certainly pieces of entertainment that have been utilized to preach at the audience. It was faithful to the comics. I don't know about that. In any case, to be fair, they did tell you, and your response was, what's wrong with that? That's what I mean. What's wrong with a developer deciding they don't want the characters to be so sexualized? How is that pushing an ideology? Albion says progressivism. Okay. So let's play with this for a second. Let's have an actual constructive discussion. So the developers for Mortal Kombat 11, that's the most tangible example we have of developers actively speaking about, we wanted to tone down the sexualization. Okay? We don't want them to be so revealing. And yet they're still very revealing. And you say that's them pushing forward the idea of progressivism. Okay? I want you to connect those dots for me. How is that pushing forward the ideology of progressivism? And you got to be real careful because there's a whole lot of progressive feminist ideals about how OnlyFans and women wearing whatever they want is empowering. So you got to be real careful here because I'm not really sure what you're talking about. You got to connect the dots for me. Help me understand why you think what you think. Help me understand it. So you think Mortal Kombat 11 developers, from an artistic perspective, they say for our art direction of our game, we want to tone this down. They're still wearing revealing outfits. There's still copious amounts of cleavage in that game. There's just less than before. And you say they're pushing forward progressivism. Okay? That's your position. I'm trying to steel man your position. I'm trying to make your position as strong as possible. You got to give me more. How is that pushing forward progressivism? Dragon Age has been renamed to the Veil Guard. So they're just really wanting to name their Dragon Age game something that's really hard to type and search for on YouTube and Google. Good job. They made an even better choice. Yeah. Dreadwolf was commonly going to be searched for as Deadwolf, and now they've got the Veilguard. What a wonderful choice for the name of a game. I can't stand when video games choose names that are hard to spell for the average person, like they're going to misspell that. And like, okay. What types of people do you think are responsible for most of your entertainment? Says Eugene. The worst part is there's so many non-woke games out there. Final Fantasy Rebirth, Stellar Blade, Rise of the Ronin, Baldur's Gate 3, Elden Ring's expansion, etc. versus one or two woke games. But why are they woke? If they want to cover up the characters, why didn't they do the same thing for the men? Well, I don't know if they have Wolf Saints. Did they make adjustments to the men's outfits? Are the men even like that in the original Mortal Kombat? Are they running around in really revealing outfits? Do you have men in the original Mortal Kombat with their cheeks hanging out? Is that happening in the original? Because in the original game, dude, it's cheeks with the women's. Their cheeks are out, their stomachs are out, their boobs are out. It's crazy. It's nuts. Are the men dressed like that too in the original Mortal Kombat games? And are they still dressed like that now? Are they out there helicoptering on the frickin' battlefield? Oh, they're not. I'm saying woke according to... Oh, I got what you're saying, Mario Heat. Progressive is free the nipple. That's what it's exactly, Snoop. Snoop, that's exactly what I was trying to say. I was like, wait a minute. How is it... The irony here. The irony. It's so funny to me. As somebody who grew up in a very strict, very sheltered, conservative environment, and you actually think video game companies saying, let's put a little more clothing on the women, and you think that's progressivism? Are you sure? Are you sure about that? Because where I come from, and when I analyze the dialogue of today, and I see people going to gala events half naked, I don't really think that that's a progressive idea. That, like, women need to cover up. That's more associated with, like, being conservative. Like, that's called being a Puritan. That's what I'm saying. Like, how is that pushing progressivism? Like, what are you talking about? To clarify, women are allowed to exploit their sexuality, but men are not allowed to. Video games is men doing it. Well, sure, Zubair, sure. But I'm talking about so you think, is that the mindset then? That, like, they're being scolded? The original Mortal Kombat cast was not bad on either side. Yeah, like, the men don't have shirts on. Yeah, some of the men are shirtless, but, like, you can't see their butt. You can't see their cheeks or their thighs. Yeah, I saw Helldivers is changing the way they're doing the war bond. Gee. I don't think you follow politics very much. Now, admittedly, I don't follow politics all that much, but I definitely pay attention to the cultural conversation, and I definitely pay attention to what people are saying. And I do not find the people who speak for progressivism, I don't find them saying that women should cover up. I don't find that. I typically find the opposite being said. That they should be able to be... They're progressive, and this is why it gets really, really hard when you start using categories. There are people of a more progressive mindset that think, women should be able to go to the beach and be topless like a man. That doesn't sound like somebody who's like, yeah, pro cover the women up, put more clothes on them. I don't find that. I grew up in a mix of hyper-conservative and hyper-progressive environments as a kid. My girlfriend and son's mother are black, and my mother dated a woman for 20 years, and I'm still conservative. I mean, I'm not on either side of these issues. I'm usually more in the middle on this stuff. I'm just like, this is how I approach these subjects. Typically, if a game developer has decided that they want to go less extreme with their outfits, like in Mortal Kombat 11, I'm like, that's fine. That's their choice. I don't feel like they're pushing an ideology. I don't feel like they're doing anything to try to affect me at all. I think they're just making a decision internally. They have come to the conviction that that was a little extreme in that game, and we're going to tone it down, right? Let's take Stellar Blade as an example, right? If they make a sequel and the developers come to the conviction and the decision that, like, it was a little extreme in the last game, we're going to tone it down a little bit, okay? I don't interpret that as woke and they're pushing an ideology. I don't. I just think, oh, they internally had dialogue about this and said, we're going to make a change to our game. On the contrary, if somebody says, no, we're going to make our game as sexy as possible, we're going to put as much booba and cheeks as we want in this game, I'm like, that's fine. That's your choice as well. Whether or not you want to go all the way in this direction and everybody's an Uggo wearing a turtleneck, or you want to go all the way in this direction and everybody's wearing dental floss and they're all basically naked, I don't care. It's their prerogative to internally decide, this is what we want to create, we're going to bring it to the market, and then the market decides whether or not to buy it. What I don't like is I don't like the public being misled with photoshopped images, fake things, and things that are not true, and then they're claiming that they're the ones they get it. They've been woken up about the issue, and it's like, yeah, with false information, you've been misled. This isn't some big conspiracy that has happened. Zubair says, for the record, my position on this is that the game companies can make the games they want for whatever reason they want, and the market will decide what it wants. That's precisely how I approach this. It's like, the market will determine if covering up the booba makes a game fail, then they'll figure it out, and then maybe next time they'll come back and be like, yeah, release the booba. Like, that's basically the way that this works. The market determines, like, do you think Rocksteady's going to try and do what they did with Kill the Justice League again with doing a live service game? You think they're going to go another round? Nope. The market told them, we don't want this. Now, if somebody's going to say, yeah, but that game failed because it was woke, it's like, but you're not analyzing the problems with Kill the Justice League. You're not. Like, Kill the Justice League isn't failing because they had some stuff in it that felt more progressive or more liberal, like a pride flag or something. It's like that's not why Kill the Justice League failed. Eugene says, I consider myself fairly progressive, and I don't care about whether sexy women are in games or not. What I care about is entertainment and art showing an accurate depiction in the range of all human experience. Well, and I only care about that depending on the game. I didn't care that Eve in Stellar Blade jiggled like a bowl of Jell-O. Like, that's not realistic, homie. Like, we've all seen, most of us have all seen what that actually looks like in real life, and it doesn't look like that. It's exaggerated. It's hyperbolic in Stellar Blade. I only care about that level of, like, realism and depiction when I'm playing a game that is going for realism, when I'm playing a game like The Last of Us, or when I'm playing a game like Red Dead Redemption or something to that point. It depends on the game. Did I miss a super chat or something? Hang on a second. I feel like I did. No. Have you ever heard of horseshoe theory? I have not heard of horseshoe theory. Let me gift the 5 members that I owe you. You misunderstood me, says Eugene. Oh, you're saying we need Stellar Blades, we need Fables, and we need Tilu. So you agree with me. You need them all. Speaking about Rocksteady, not sure how reliable this person is, but they're possibly on the chopping block. Rocksteady are having their 250 employees after Kill the Justice League's bomb. I mean, to me, it's like, we'll have to wait and see, but I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. I wouldn't be surprised, because if you really, really think that they can survive what happened without any kind of repercussions, no, there's going to be repercussions to how badly that game failed. Ubiforward is on Monday. I believe it's at 3 p.m. Eastern. We will be co-streaming it. Almost every male protagonist is ripped with an 8-pack, but having a sexy female protagonist is a bad thing. See, but here's what's exhausting about this discussion, Doomslayer, is someone can throw that out there and everybody's going to be like, amen, amen, brother, preach. And I'm always going to press pause and be like, okay, what are you talking about? One of the most sold games this year is Stellar Blade. Arguably one of the sexiest protagonists we've seen in a long time. What in the world are you talking about? What do you mean? What are you referring to? Like, you think the market and you think developers and you think publishers are looking at Stellar Blade and thinking, huh, maybe we don't have to worry about that. I think the most insightful thing that has come from all of this, I believe it was Del Walker who said, was it Del that said this? If it wasn't Del, then correct me. I believe it was him, where he said, this type of thing happens because men are terrified now to make a sexy character. They're not pushing an ideology. You're misfiring. It's basically friendly fire. It's a bunch of dudes who are like, hey, it's okay to like sexy looking women and characters, and they're yelling at men that are like, we agree with you, but we're kind of scared to do it because the cultural climate around this subject is, we're just a little uncertain about what's okay and what's not anymore, right? You can literally, you can get canceled for not flirting well. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's dangerous out here. You're like, oh my gosh. It's like a freaking minefield. So that's what he said. He's like, this is typically like a bunch of men in a room that are like, we're not doing that with our character. It's a chilling effect. The harm from crossing the line so great is that now people are staying away from the line. Right, like you've got all these games traditionally that went really, really overboard with sexualizing the female characters. They were always ornamental. They were always decorative. They were basically just eye candy. And that started to get criticized. And now everyone's running in the other direction. They're like, well, we don't want to be criticized for doing that. So they're running in the other direction. And you're like, yep, they're pushing an ideology. They're absolutely trying to social engineer us. And it's like, maybe they're just reacting. And they don't want to be criticized for doing something that's now frowned upon by people in the press and the media, or like, look at the way people talk. Look at the way some of the press outlets kind of talked about Stellar Blade. It was like, and some of them celebrated it and thought it was awesome. So I don't think developers, this is why I don't ever find the argument compelling. I think it's far more likely that the developers are sort of reacting to what they feel like the culture is going to be negative about. They're not pushing an ideology. I think they're reacting. I think you've got it wrong. I think your diagnosis is backwards. They're definitely pushing an ideology. The proof is out there. The people that work at these studios and consulting companies openly admit it. Oh, I don't disagree with you that the consulting companies have definitely been trying to push for things that are inauthentic. I agree with you on that. And you want to know what? Those consulting companies are going to work themselves right out of a job. Do you want to know why? They're wrong. They don't understand the gaming industry. They don't understand the target audience. And they're basically going to take a bunch of companies down the wrong road. And then the money is going to talk. It's not going to last. It's not going to last. Because some consulting companies came in and said, hey, we know you're scared about this. We're going to help you. We're going to help you. It's like, okay. You and Dell are so close to seeing what people are talking about. Being in fear is the ideology doing its job. Which is exactly why I'm saying it's friendly fire to attack the developers and say they're pushing an ideology. I don't think so. I think they're reacting. And I think they're going to learn real quick that they didn't need to. The market's going to correct this. These consulting companies, they don't know what the frick they're talking about. Most of these companies are now... They're out, dude. Their demand and their what they bring to the table, it went down in value super fast. You don't have anything to worry about. That's why I keep telling people, like, I don't see a pattern. I see a couple of game companies and a couple of examples of people that were like, oh, we better make sure and do this right. We don't want to get in trouble. We don't want to get accused of anything. And now the gaming community is coming out and saying, don't do this. You don't need to do this crap. You don't need to appeal to us at this level. This isn't what we're looking for. Zubair says, these consulting groups are a reaction to thinking Twitter is a real place. People will correct. I believe that. I believe this is going to fix itself. I believe it's going to fix itself probably by the next cycle of games. I already think right now developers are like, yeah, this is a total misfire. We don't need to do any of this. I don't think it's wrong that they're reacting. The devs and their potential customers will eventually find common ground. See, that's a good way of putting it. You have to understand why these devs reacted this way. It was an economic concern. It was like, wait a minute. If we come out and we do this, right? If we have a lack of diversity or if we over-sexualize a character, we're going to get criticized. Do you ever wonder why they think this? You ever wonder why? Do you remember when Jeff Keighley was criticized that not enough women were on stage? And it was like, to me, it was like, it just so perfectly represented how so many of the people talking about the gaming industry, they don't have a freaking clue how it works. I was a main stage host at E3 2019. And do you want to know what doesn't happen? When you're organizing an event like that, you're not like, hey, we don't want to put any women up there. No. People quite literally from the studios say, hey, this is so-and-so's job. Let's have them go talk about the game. We think they're the best person to go talk about the game. So yelling at Jeff Keighley about a lack of women being on the stage just showed brazen ignorance. It was like, he can only put people on stage that are sent to the event. What's he going to do? Be like, well, I'm sorry. We got a quota, and you're number 10. So you can't go on stage. We don't have enough women. No, he literally just like, okay, who are you? Okay, nice to meet you. So glad to have you involved. You're going to be coming out on stage at this exact time. You're going to be coming out on it, and we're going to do a 3-minute interview. Like, he doesn't dictate who gets sent to the event. He just says, who wants to come? What do you got? You got B-roll? Hand B-roll to the production crew, okay? B-rolls to the production crew. You have any key art? All right, hand the key art to the production crew. Here's when you're going to come out. So the fact that, like, people criticize Keighley because, like, not enough women were on stage, that's the frickin' dialogue being pushed by some of these outlets that are making these devs be like, well, I mean, do we really want to have to deal with this? You had people working on Hogwarts Legacy, community managers, developers, voice actors, getting attacked because of a bunch of nonsense and misinformation about the author of Harry Potter. So you had people working on a video game that have no connection to that getting attacked. This is why the developers are doing this. So when you get your guns out and you start shooting at the developers and you're like, these woke, Western, liberal, progressive developers pushing their ideology. Yo, these developers are just trying to bring something to market that doesn't get eviscerated and criticized and called whatever label's going to get used from the press outlets and the gaming outlets. That's where you should be turning your ire. The developers are literally just trying to get the game into the market, into a position that won't be ridiculed. And the sad sad irony is now they're getting it from the people that you don't want to get it from. They're getting it from the gamers. You got gamers just mass downvoting Star Wars Outlaws because they've been convinced that these developers are woke and making the characters ugly. And it's like, that's not what that's not what's going on with Star Wars Outlaws, dude. Like, that's not what's happening. It's just another example of graphical degradation. That's all it is. It's just an engine struggling with textures, lighting, and hair, and facial animations. That's all that's going on. We're not blaming the devs, these consulting companies, and the fact that these devs are even afraid in the first place is what we don't like. That's not what I never hear that. I never hear that, Doom. I hear that the devs are pushing their ideology. I hear that the devs are woke, and that they're and that the devs want to make all their characters ugly. Number one, I don't see evidence that there's a pattern of characters being made ugly. I don't see evidence of that. Every time I ask for examples, I don't get very many good examples. I get subjective examples like, well, I think Aloy's ugly. Okay, that's fine. She's not. And secondly, she looks just like the model. But you've seen photoshopped images and you think that, well, here's how pretty the model is and look what they did to Aloy. If you actually analyze the character, that's not true. So much of this is also rooted in falsehood. We give these people way too much credit. They're not nearly as market impactful as they think they are. I mean, I think mass downvotes on a YouTube video does hurt it. I think it hurts. I think it potentially hurts the product. I think it does. It certainly doesn't help. I don't think that the lion's share of the public, I don't think they pay much attention to this. But I also think when you see a video get that many downvotes, that's a concern. A lot of the people who went and did that are actively on YouTube, paying attention to these things, pre-ordering games, and on down the line. You pay a consultant for advice? What a totally uneducated take. What are you pushing back against, Jaggy? Consulting companies are there to consult. They don't have the final say. The devs create a game, then the consulting company comes in and changes the game to be more diverse. All for low-interest loans from BlackRock and Vanguard. Right. I've seen all of the evidence about that. Milosh. And again, I don't see evidence that a ton of developers have done this. I've seen evidence that some developers have done this, but I don't see evidence that a ton of developers have done this. Like, what game do you think did what game did this to the degree that it ruined the game? That's what I want to know. What game? Because when people try to use Kill the Justice League, it's like Kill the Justice League is bad for like 1,000 other reasons. It's not bad because they made Harley Quinn not wear her old outfit. There's a rainbow flag in the Hall of Justice. Like, if those things weren't in the game, would the game be better? It wouldn't change the game at all. Consulting companies were never needed before the game devs, so why now? Because I think gaming has grown to a size culturally that social issues are becoming part of the potential dialogue surrounding the game and the game's success. I think that they're worried that, like, if you bring your game to market and your game looks like it's, you know, hateful or dealing in a stereotype, then, you know, you're going to get criticized and your game will get canceled. Like, look, I just want you to think about what's happened. Let me open the door to the office. Give me 1 second. I just want you to think about what's happened in the world of entertainment, okay? In the world of entertainment, there were movements to get someone as big and as notorious as Dave Chappelle. They wanted him removed from Netflix because of jokes that he told. And you wonder why game developers are like scared that they're going to do something that upsets the public. That can be economically devastating. if somebody comes out and tries to quote-unquote cancel you because of a joke that you said. People have lost their jobs over jokes that they have said on Twitter, like Colin Moriarty. Like, the gaming world started to see that, like, hey, wait, if you do something that's viewed as insulting or discriminatory or whatever, they're going to come for you. The entertainment world got really volatile there for a while. It was like, oh my gosh, what is going on? It's calmed down now. I truly think a turning of the page was quite literally Dave Chappelle. Because Dave Chappelle and Netflix said, shut the frick up. We don't give a frick what you think. We're going to have him on, and he's just going to tell more jokes now. And when he said, Twitter's not a real place, I think a lot of people realized Twitter's not a real place. And so all these companies saw that happening and was like, whoa, we got to be real careful now. If we come out with a game and we're accused of dealing in a stereotype or something that's misogynistic or sexist, we can get in big trouble. We could suffer economic loss. You're forgetting all those things that happened. I'm not arguing one side's right or wrong. What I'm saying is I can understand why a developer and a publisher would be like, we need help navigating these waters because they're real choppy right now. I feel like it's a common sense to understand your position and act accordingly online. If you're making your own money, you can't be canceled. Yes and no. I mean, you can be deplatformed. I mean, I was deplatformed over lies. Like, you can literally be deplatformed. It's not like I think it's a lot harder to deplatform people. I do. I think two significant things happened. Dave Chappelle and Netflix just ignored the controversy and basically benefited from it, and the Johnny Depp trial. I think those two things have completely changed the idea of, like, well, you can deplatform somebody with claims. You can just go make claims on Twitter and ruin a person's life. Not anymore, you can't. I mean, you might do some damage, but it's not like it was. In the 4 years since it's happened to me, 2020, it is not like it once was. It is a lot harder to be like, yeah, well, he said a thing. And it's like, oh, shut up. Like, no one cares. Be quiet. And the same thing with, like, oh, this guy said a joke. This guy said a joke I don't like. Well, that no one cares anymore. No one cares. So, I think the pendulum's swinging back. I think these consulting firms and I think these devs and these reactions, I think all of that's going to fade away again. They're going to realize you can have a super sexy character and no one cares. Can you explain how Insomniac Spider-Man looks like Tom Holland? Can somebody get me that image again? They tried to make him look more like Tom Holland than the original guy. They didn't make him Tom Holland. They make him kind of look like Tom Holland. It was they changed the way that Peter Parker looks. More companies should do what Netflix did, ignore the outrage. Yeah, it's always better to show that those people don't have any power, right? They don't have any power. Now, here's the thing. You can still, as the consumer, you can still mobilize and get things to change. You can. Helldivers is a good example of this. The community mobilized and said, nope, not on our watch. We're going to make this way more painful for you than it will be for us. So PlayStation walks back the requirement, right? So you can still do it, but in general, outrage over like a joke or like that character's too sexy or your game's not diverse enough, that's not going to freaking happen. Like, that's not going to happen. Your game's not going to get canceled over this stuff. He looks more like Yuri Lowenthal, too. It's a bit of a mixture. I'll show you the picture in a second. Insomniac Black with a $5 super chat tip says, this is one of the reasons why Bill Burr is one of the greatest communities. Dude will get on everybody. Yeah, you can't cancel Bill Burr either. So they changed. The original Peter Parker is up here at the top, and down here, he favors Yuri as well as Tom Holland. Like, it's more of a similar hairstyle to Tom Holland in the movies, more of a similar face shape. So yeah, they changed him. I know he looks more like Yuri, but he also favors Tom Holland a little bit too. It's kind of a hybrid. That was always my impression. That's just my opinion. He wasn't changed to look like Tom. I feel like he looks a little bit like Tom Holland. I mean, I don't know. It's hard not to see the hairstyles being very similar. You know, I know they tried to make him look more like the voice actor, but in my opinion, it also conveniently favors and looks very similar to Tom. You know, again, that's just my opinion. That's subjective to me. When I look at that, I'm like, yeah, he looks kind of like Tom Holland. Definitely looks like Tom. I mean, it could just be complete coincidence that, like, Yuri and Tom have similar face shapes. I'll be honest, Eugene. I think he looks like way more like Tom Holland than Yuri. That image I just had up does not look like Yuri. I don't think so, dude. No. No. He looks way more like Tom Holland. Yeah, come on. I don't know, dude. It doesn't look that much like Yuri, in my opinion. The face model for Spider-Man looks like Tom Holland. Yeah, he does kind of look like Tom Holland. That's actually true. Oh wow, it's afternoon. Okay. What should I do here? Let's try to hit that 50. You think we can hit 50? I think we can hit 50. I'm not gonna drop a 50 bomb. We've been doing gauntlets here. Yeah, I would only owe you 5. I'll drop a 10 bomb. I'll double it. I can't keep going crazy every day with the gifteds. Like, I'll do what I owe you, right? But if we hit 50, I'll drop a 10 bomb. Let me schedule the writer's room. I'll schedule it for let's see. Would that work? 20. Yeah, well, I'll schedule it for 12:30 because I don't really think we don't have much work to do in the writer's room. So let me schedule the writer's room for 12:30. So you got 20 minutes to get 20 members. And if you guys do it, I'll drop a 10 bomb. I'll double what I owe you. Instead of just being 5, I'll do a 10. First time I've been attacked on a YouTube comment. I wanted to share my amusement with everybody. Ubisoft is my favorite franchise. Most games I love. I'm excited to see more Assassin's Creed Shadows. I see you're the type to eat garbage with BBQ on it because it's new. What? I don't even understand that insult. I don't think I'm dumb enough to understand that insult. I never said he didn't look like Tom. I'm expressing the reasons they changed the model. Right. If they said, well, we wanted them to look more like Yuri, I don't think they did a very good job. He doesn't look more like Yuri. He looks more like Tom Holland. I know that you're just recounting what they said, Eugene. I'm saying, I feel like it looks a little bit more like, you know, little Tommy boy. He looks like this guy, Ben Jordan. Yeah, but Ben Jordan and Tom Holland look similar. They have similar face shapes. Okay. All right, members only. All right, there we go. Well, I'll tell you what, I hope Ubisoft Forward and these Ubisoft games can turn things around, because man, oh man, is it painful to cover Ubisoft. We just get terrible results every time we do it, and it's frustrating because I like Ubisoft property. It's kind of like in the old days when I would try to cover PlayStation, and like we just couldn't get people would just not come and watch. Like, good gracious, the sub base does not like Ubisoft. They do not like Ubisoft. Dave says, this was the reasoning John Bubniak, he was originally hired as the face model for Spider-Man, who had a different face than Lowenthal, who also did face capture and voice Peter Parker. It was difficult to combine their faces, so Insomniac decided to replace him with Ben Jordan, who looked more similar to Lowenthal. All right, before we're done here, guys. Oh, we got 300 likes. Never mind. I was going to say, let's go for 300 likes. Yeah, we're going to chill. In 18 minutes, we're going to go to Writer's Room. I've already gifted the 5 that I owe you. You guys have secured the goal for the week, which was, let's see, we got 126, we got 151, and then today you got 31. You have 308 members, okay? So now you're 92 away from the stretch goal of 400. We'll brainstorm in Writer's Room about an incentive. Something I got to do when I'm playing Lies of P on Friday night. It's like the episode of Stargate where the Asgard said they needed help from humans because they couldn't think dumb enough anymore like the humans could. Ubisoft is worse than EA? Kind of crazy. How? How are they worse than EA? You mean from like public perception, or you genuinely think that? Back to the Fable protagonist. Do we know what her social status is? I think that could play into the way that she looks. It could be very intentional and story-driven. Well, in Fable, you just create your own character. But in the trailer, she looks like she's just like a commoner. She's just a commoner. She's just a common townsperson. Like, go watch The Princess Bride, right? Robin Wright is just gorgeous. And she plays the princess. And then all of the commoners and all the townspeople, they're dirty, they're kind of ugly, they're kind of hit, you know? That's it. So in that kind of a story setting, a more medieval story setting, a commoner isn't going to look like the model they used. The better question would be, why do they even need a model? Because the model's really pretty. It's like, why would you use somebody who's really pretty if you're going to make a character that looks more kind of busted, more kind of common, more kind of plain? Like, I don't get it. That's the question I don't get. It's like, that's the question I have. It's like, why would you even hire her as the model if you're not making a pretty character? That's what doesn't make sense to me. And with Kay Vess, I feel like all of the original artwork and all the original trailers, Kay Vess in Star Wars Outlaws, to me, I think is a pretty character. I think she looks similar to the model. Now, obviously, she has to look a little bit different because she's a scoundrel in the Star Wars universe. She can't look like she's ready for the runway. So she fits the description, right? I don't see what the big deal is, specifically if this character might not be in the game. She's not in the game! She's not. In a game like Fable, you create your own character. It's easier to make a pretty person ugly than to make a dumpy person pretty. Ask me how I know. All right, guys, in 15 minutes, we're going to the Writer's Room. Thanks for the turnout today. You guys are the best. You guys are the faithful. You show up to every show regardless. Some of you don't even care about Ubisoft, and you were here having the debate, having the back and forth, having the discussion, and I appreciate it so much. Do me a favor, if you haven't smashed like yet, smash like. You got 15 minutes to hit the next milestone. If we hit 50 members, I will drop a 10 bomb. I've been giving you guys these like last-minute gauntlets. I'm like, hey, like yesterday I did it. I was like, if you guys hit this number, I'll drop a 50 bomb. I'll drop a 10 bomb today if you hit 50. If you guys want to scramble to do that, it brings more people into the Writer's Room, and it helps us kind of celebrate. And I like doing that. We like bringing more people with us. Can you get a Leia bikini skin? Yeah, I don't think so. I think that would be kind of awkward, you know, to be running around as a gun runner, smuggler, scoundrel, and you're running around in a bikini. It really wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. You know? I didn't add much, but I was here. I appreciate it. We were hesitant to do a Ubisoft stream like this because we just know that people have a weird aversion to Ubisoft. Like, we'll cover the live event on Monday and it'll be fine, but whenever we've done streams like this, they tend to struggle a little bit. We did a Ubisoft Forward prediction stream last year, and it performed similarly. No, actually, no, it didn't. This did better because we did that on like a Saturday. I just randomly booted up on a Saturday and hung out with you guys. And I was like, here are my expectations for Forward. And it was fun, but it was obviously out of our normal schedule. Anytime I do that, it can be tough. I tune in just to hear Lono argue white. Oh, you would tune in just to hear Lono argue white versus brown rice. But can samurais not be gay? Well, that's another one in the last little 13 minutes that we have here. That's another one that is so frustrating because they never said that. And everybody ran with the headline in the YouTube videos. They're literally just lying to the public. These people are liars. That's the irony of like telling me that like I'm being socially engineered as someone quite literally has been gaslit and rage baited into being angry about something that isn't real. I want you to think about that. It's not real. Lego Horizon Adventures. It'll be an unexpected surprise. It will be released day one on PS5 and PC. So is it going to be one of their multiplayer Lego games? I'm sorry, Horizon games? Yeah, this guy replies and says, if it's going to PC day one, it means one of two things. Either one, they consider it an experimental game instead of a tentpole game, or it'll have multiplayer. It'll be transformational. Sounds like a live service game. Yeah, after what Herman Holst just said, I would imagine that it's either a live service game or like the one guy said, it's viewed as an experimental game and it's not considered a tentpole game. But it's Horizon. I don't know if I would agree with that. A Horizon Lego game is attached to one of the bigger franchises that PlayStation owns. Like, I don't know. It's the rumored Horizon MMO. So the Horizon MMO is going to be a Lego game? I mean, I like Lego games. Risick says, come on, boys. Let's get that 10 bomb. And he takes us to 36 with a 5 bomb. It usually just takes one person to bump the line. Thank you so much. Oh. I got a cute picture from my wife. Sorry. It's crazy how people are so focused on social constructs in a video game, but completely silent about ridiculous pricing. Parasita says, why hasn't Sony made their own launcher yet? Everyone has them in their crosshairs right now after the Helldivers thing, and with God of War on PC subtext from the Direct. Paris, I wouldn't be surprised if that launcher lands later this year after the showcase. That'd be my guess. Guys, in 10 minutes, we're going to the writer's room, and another one comes in from Alex, and he takes us to 41 members on the day. We're on the doorstep of 50 now, guys. I'm dropping a 10 bomb when we hit 50. I love these last-minute gauntlets that we go on. I end up gifting more as a thank you. More people get to be a part of what we do here. We are trying to think of a crazy incentive, make Lono dance. I don't think we're going to do anything shaving the beard or with the hair like we did the one time. I don't want to do that. But we're trying to come up with something crazy to get more of you to pick up your own memberships and pay for it. So that way we can build a better foundation so those gifteds go to more people. If you could think of something funny you'd like me to do for that incentive. Right now there's about 620 people paying for their own memberships. We would love to see that bump up. I was talking about with my wife last night. Maybe instead of shooting for 1,000, we should just do it incremental. Like right now, there's 620 people paying for their own memberships. Maybe we should just shoot for 700. And when we hit 700 people paying for their own memberships, maybe we do something to celebrate. And then 800, 900, and so forth. Like maybe every 100, we just do something fun. A stream marathon, 24 hours. Yeah, I don't know. Something like that. Alex with the 2 spot says, may I banish Zubair? I don't want to do that at the tail end of a stream like we did yesterday because it nukes all of Zubair's comments, and he had some good comments in today's discussion. I want that to be there for the past broadcast. And Rissick with a gifted member takes us to 42 members on the day. Thank you so much, Rissick. Play Bloodborne. Eat the world's hottest gummy bear. I don't like doing food like that. I love the stream. I would like to see Writer's Room and other content, and we'll get my own membership after a month. Hey, Darren, if you're here often and you are chatting and liking and listening, you may end up getting a gifted membership. And my hope would be that if we can get more people to do that, to be like, yeah, you know, I can afford $5 or $6 a month, and they pick up their own membership, it makes more room for people like Darren. Like, a lot of people are basically getting a gifted every month, and you're basically taking up a spot. And if you can't afford a membership, I want you to get that gifted membership. But if you can pick up your own membership, you're going to make space for others. And it also it's a great way to support the channel directly. It gives us a really good ground of support every month. And a $4 super chat tip from Bushin Ryu says, this is the unbanished Zubair, and a 5-bomb from Alex, and a single from Ghost 14 is 6, taking us to 48. There it is, right on the doorstep. You guys are the best. Play Sekiro blindfolded. It's funny when we watch these VODs when someone trolls Lono for an hour and gets banned because their comments don't show up in my chat. It makes it look like Lono's arguing with a ghost. Yo! Peachy Creamy gifts a member with a white badge. Thank you guys so much. Guys, try to do a scramble. Do a bit of a scramble here, and let's go crazy. Let's try to get Darren a gifted. I'm going to drop a 10-bomb. If he doesn't get it for my 10-bomb, you guys got 7 minutes. Let's choose our shots here. A 24-hour Souls game. I'm too old to do 24-hour streams, dude. I can't do it. I'm going to be 43 this year, bro. I can't. Reverse sear a ribeye steak live without giving away where you live. We like steak here. And a single from Stone Spire, but then Rissick is the agent of chaos and pushes us to 51. You did it. I owe you a 10-bomb as promised. Thank you so much. Let's see if we can't get Darren in the mix here with my 10-bomb. Play 12 minutes. I love the idea of doing a stream like that, Mick D09. I think there would be ways to do it. It's just really freaking risky. It's really risky. I would basically have to put the grill. I know where I could put the grill outside. And I would probably have to just periodically just like cover the camera. Go outside, show you what I'm doing, cover the camera, come back in. Like, it would just have to be a super calculated thing. Yo, William Brimer gifts a member and says, come on, let's get Darren. We're trying to call our shots here. Takes us to 52 members on the day. Thank you, William. We need a way to let membership gifters add a small message. I'd be doing more gifting. Why don't you just gift and then I will always read the message of the gifter. I mean, I agree with you though. I wish you guys could put a little message when you gift a bomb like that. It's like a big green box. Like let them type in it. You know what I mean? We just need those direct grill shots. Not trying to crap on Sony, but I can see it now. PlayStation Publishing has a good deal on an Xbox remaster game, but the PlayStation version via Steam instead of the Xbox app. Open Steam, launch the game, actually opens the PSN launcher, which has to update. Game then has to update, and it's Tuesday night to stream. Login doesn't work. Manually log into PSN, have to do 14 steps of two-factor fail to capture cry. Hang on. Not one mention of the woke tone turning off fans or SBI influence, really, Jason? Jason says this article is about what actually happened. Right. So it didn't have any effect on development behind the scenes, hiring practices, or turning off millions of fans. Jason Schreier says, I asked 24 people who worked on the game what went wrong, and not a single one mentioned the word sweet baby. You're chasing angry hallucinations created by grifters who make money off your rage. Tell him, Schreier. Frickin' tell him. Thank you for doing VIP, William Breimer. Like, so Schreier's breaking down what actually happened with Kill the Justice League, and people are angry that he didn't make a mention of Sweet Baby. It's because I tried to tell you guys. I tried to tell you guys. It's like, that's not what's wrong with Kill the Justice League. Like, putting a pride flag in the Hall of Justice and not having Harley Quinn wear her old outfit, that's not why that game is bad. You could let Harley walk around half naked and you could nuke the rainbow flag from the Hall of Justice. Like, they could just let you do it. Yeah, go ahead, boys. It wouldn't make the game better. It wouldn't make the game better. That wouldn't change the quality of the game at all. Bad game is a bad game. Right? If Assassin's Creed Shadows is a bad game, it's not going to be because they decided it'd be really cool to use this historical figure who is a black man. Like, that's not going to be why the game is bad. Oh, yeah, they went for a diversity grab. Found a guy on YouTube who's super angry about fitness influencers, obviously on steroids, using their platform to sell supplements as if those supplements gave them gains. It's a fun rabbit hole. Tommy Hendy says here, a trailer during Summer Game Fest cost $250,000 for 1 minute, it is claimed. Tommy Hendy says, an important part of the story is that allegedly the pricing was also the same for last year's Game Awards, which received widespread industry criticism due to the wrap it up screen that was shown to award winners 30 seconds into their acceptance speech. I mean, Keighley built a big stage. Do you want to be on the stage? It costs money. Now, Keighley's got to be careful. He's going to E3 himself. If he makes it too expensive and he makes it really unappealing, that's why E3 started to get lower reception, because people are like, it's too expensive to come. Wait, is the argument now that the wokeness killed the Justice League? This is why I told you I get frustrated by the falsehood and the misinformation, because instead of actually breaking down and analyzing what's wrong with the Star Wars Outlaws trailer, we don't do that. We just say, woke, they made her ugly. When we deal with Kill the Justice League and all the problems that game faced and why it's not being a successful live service game, we don't get into a discussion about that. We just go, woke, it's woke, go broke. So instead of actually criticizing the game as it is, and instead of actually, talking about why it failed, we're going to just yell the word woke, throw that on a thumbnail, and it just gets lapped up by angry people. Like, yep, knew it. I knew it. Wouldn't Harley have a reason to not wear the outfit? There's actual story development and character development with her that she would want to be her own person and dress the way that she wants. She's no longer a sidekick piece of eye candy, but hey, you can't see her cheeks anymore, so it's woke. Let's go to Writer's Room. The link is in chat. Thanks so much for being a member, and you may have gotten a membership today or this week. Another great day. 52 members on the day, and I celebrated by doing a 10 bomb instead of just the 5 that I owed at the end. I had already done 5, so I did a total of 15 today. You guys have crushed it. You guys have crushed the goal. You're well past the goal now. Now you have hit this is going to help out with your Friday Night Lies of Peace stream. You're at 329. You're 70 members away from a stretch goal of 400. So we're going to try to brainstorm and think of something fun to do Friday night for the stretch goal, because tomorrow Summer Game Fest kicks off and we'll be co-streaming it, so make sure you're there. I'm going to end the previous stream about Ubisoft, my expectations, my hopes, my dreams. We debated ugly women and pretty women for most of the